That's it, folks. We are out of time today. It's terribly sad, but it happens at this time of day every day. But there's always tomorrow. 21 hours from now, we will be back. And looking forward to it. Thanks so much for being with us.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics, Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Make good nutrition and physical activity part of your family's daily lifestyle. Be our guest to healthy living and visit letsmove.gov to learn more. Brought to you by Let's Move, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
The president says it again. Lisa Brady, Fox News, taking questions from reporters. President Trump denies backing down on background checks. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump telling reporters before boarding Marine One that he believes Republicans, Democrats, and the NRA can get on board what he's called meaningful background checks legislation when Congress returns from its August recess.
We have a lot of background checks right now. Gun owners can tell you that. Others can tell you that. But there are certain weaknesses. We want to fix the weaknesses. And I think that'll happen. Let's see what happens.
Gun control advocates say the president has retreated from earlier pledges to support legislation that tightens background checks for gun purchases and expressing doubts that a bipartisan bill is possible. Lisa?
John, President Trump also defending a new rule for migrant families, what amounts to a crackdown on catch and release. Instead of following a 1997 court settlement that requires migrant children to be released after 20 days, families will remain together but be detained until their immigration hearing.
It is not safer or more humane to have a lawless process. We are applying alternatives to detention right now. They don't work. Families are not showing up for their hearing.
Acting Homeland Security Chief Kevin McAleenan says campus-type settings will be used, including classrooms, recreational activities, and medical care. Critics say indefinite detention is cruel, and lawsuits are expected. Some deep divisions at the Federal Reserve on interest rates.
Internal discussions amongst officials at their policy meeting 3 weeks ago showed several members did not want to cut rates last meeting, citing that the economy was in a good place because of a strong job market and strong consumer confidence.
Fox Business Network's Jennifer Schonberger, but two members wanted a bigger cut in the benchmark rate. The cut approved in July was the first in a decade and came before the president announced a new round of tariffs on China. America is listening. Fox News.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving. Built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
A new assessment of North Korea's nuclear capabilities.
North Korea has the capacity to develop miniature nuclear warheads, according to Japanese media. The assessment was made in an upcoming Japanese defense report and is said to indicate that North Korea still poses a threat to the region. Pyongyang has launched several missile tests in recent weeks. Despite the increased tensions, the U.S. government says it is ready to restart negotiations with North Korea as soon as Pyongyang agrees to do so. In London, Kitty Logan, Fox News.
President Trump says he still wants to visit Denmark, but he postponed a planned state visit after being told that Greenland is not for sale, and he's taking issue with how that was said.
Denmark, I look forward to going, but I thought that the Prime Minister's statement that it was absurd, it was an absurd idea, was nasty. I thought it was an inappropriate statement. All she had to do is say, no, we wouldn't be interested.
Meantime, some in Denmark are criticizing the president for canceling his visit. For football fans who just can't get enough, here's a reboot to look forward to.
8 new professional sports teams were named today, with just under 6 months until the XFL kicks off its season. A relaunch for a league that lasted only one season in 2001. Today, the XFL revealed nicknames and logos for its 8 teams. The New York Guardians, Los Angeles Wildcats, Dallas Renegades, Houston Roughnecks, the St. Louis Battlehawks, Seattle Dragons, Tampa Bay Vipers, DC Defenders. The XFL season kicks off on Fox February 8th, 6 days after Super Bowl 54.
Fox's Jared Max. An hour to the close on Wall Street, a rally continues, spurred in part by the retail sector. The Dow is up 215 points. The NASDAQ back over 8,000. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. Kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is the second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing, he took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get his face out there. So anybody that has information, let us know. It'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car, because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 75, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight, lows dip down to about 53. Mainly clear skies and quiet again tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 70.
A message from Indiana Democrat Pete Buttigieg.
If you listen to President Trump, you'd think the only thing that matters for our economy is whether the stock market had a good day or a bad day. That's his priority. When the president gets on Twitter to brag about the high-stakes game he's playing with China, he's not seeing the same rural America that I see. The one where net farm income has been cut almost in half the past 5 years. Where small-town residents live hours away from a decent hospital. Where household budgets are stretched so thin that desperation often turns to depression and addiction. This reckless trade war is tearing apart the very fabric of rural America. And while subsidies might soften the blows temporarily, they can't repair the permanent damage being done to family farms. I'm Pete Buttigieg, candidate for president, and I approve this message to ask for your help in stopping what Donald Trump is doing to America's heartland, for your community and mine.
Paid for by Pete for America.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
I'd just like to say that racism and prejudice have no place here. I just felt like virtue signaling for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what made me feel that way. Maybe it's the presence of the holy white and pure Terry Menke in my studio. How you doing there, Councilman Menke?
Wonderful. I had to listen to Ferrick's comments the other day because, you put them on Monday trying to hide them from me, weren't you? Yeah.
Why?
You buried him.
Buried him?
You buried him in the schedule so I would overlook the fact that he was on.
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. I'm still ticked at Ferrick for BSing me.
He did that?
Oh, yes, he did.
The art of evasion.
Yeah.
I think I was learning a lot on how not to answer a direct question.
Would you like yeah. I don't know anything about the Crossroads Mall, Mike. Let me tell you that 3 different times, 3 different ways. Big blaring headline in the Messenger the next day with quotes by who? David Ferrick. Don't you just love that?
Yeah, he's
love
learning.
That?
He's learning
good.
well.
It's good for the town to have one source.
Yeah, that's you, right?
No, it's not me.
It's not you.
No, it's definitely not me.
I'm sorry.
Mayor was in a little earlier with Lutz.
I know.
He did. I might give him a pass. He just came into.
No, I wouldn't give him a pass.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
Well, that's why they like you so much over there.
No.
They always come in and say, that Menke, I'll tell you, what would we do without him? We love him, we love him, we love him.
Yeah, well,
actually, it's more like, who does that guy think he is?
Yeah, I know. They don't even, my name, I got the key to the gate, the key to the door, over at City Hall.
No, that's the jail cell.
They spelled my name wrong.
They did?
Yeah.
Menke or
they left
that is an
an
unusual spelling. Your last
Well, it's
name.
German, when we came.
So
over
is
here,
Menke.
Yeah, well, we came over here from Germany. Somebody on Ellis Island apparently decided my great grandparents didn't spell their name right.
So they
put an H in there.
They whipped
I think it had an umlaut at one point over the O, and then the EH.
I don't even know what that is.
It's
but
the 2 little dots up above.
2 little dots.
Two little dots above the vowel.
Okay.
Yeah, you're German. You
what
should
is
know
it?
that.
No, I'm not. Actually.
I thought you were German.
No, James Michael Devine. I'm so Irish Catholic. It's I should start doing an Irish jig with a shillelagh or something.
Yeah, people would pay to see that.
No, they wouldn't, and I wouldn't accept any money to do it.
Well, that's
Last
good.
I was at the top hat.
I was often wondered who they modeled that little guy on the Fruit Loops commercial after.
Well, I'm kind of big for those for most Irish guys. I'm kind of a bigger Irish guy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you on the other hand are always invading Poland or acting like.
At least I'm not trying to grab Greenland from some poor defenseless little country.
No, we're not trying to grab it.
We're not.
We just want to buy it.
What are we going to do?
What
with
the
it?
heck? I don't know. It's a big chunk of ice with 50,000 mainly cold people.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a lot of minerals there.
Well, they said it's strategically located. And I don't know why.
Greenland?
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently it's between here and there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, we had any enemies there at this time, but I guess we're anticipating. I don't know. Did you get in telemarketers again?
No, this is Supervisor Thode.
Yeah?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know he was still around.
He's kind of had a very low profile for you want to talk about a large American, that would be Bob.
I actually talked to Bob out in front of his house here about 3-4 weeks ago.
What were you doing, stalking people in his neighborhood?
His road over there is 2.5 Avenue North and North 21st Street is
well, don't tell everybody
not
where
very
he
good.
lives.
Well, I just gave a general location, but it's a lousy road, and we had some concerns, and while we were working on 22nd Street, It came to my attention that it was in bad shape because of all the traffic was being diverted over there. So I went over there to look at the potholes and do a little walk around. And they're right, it's a terrible road. So I inquired and made some suggestions, and we're actually looking at that for eventually maybe some SRF money, state revolving fund money, for stormwater work, because there's no storm drains over there to actually use that pervious concrete or asphalt.
Pervious?
Yep. Water runs through it. They put a sub base underneath it, and it runs down into the sub base, and it doesn't pool up on top. So
that's pretty tricky.
Yeah, and it would be a good place. We were going to do that over behind City Hall in the parking lot. And that kind of fell to the wayside for one reason or another, probably lack of funds more than anything. But there is some more SRF money that we have to use for clean water, and that could be a project we could look at. So,
what county is Sioux City in? I forget all this.
Woodbury.
Gosh.
Woodbury. Yeah, Woodbury. I was just over there.
Yeah, you probably were.
I saw a bunch of sheriffs from Bowman County. Is there such a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, there's
like 3 cars just zipped down 9th Street. I don't know what they're doing here.
They were here. They were here for the last Market on Central.
Doing what?
Well, they had a demonstration of what the police canines could do.
They had the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw the dog down there, but I didn't see the car. So, no, I don't know. I thought maybe they're doing some training, because I know the police department's been doing some training.
Maybe they are. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't ask Chief Porter that yesterday.
Yeah.
By the way, they caught our friend Bradley Bauman.
I saw that, riding a motorcycle.
Riding a motorcycle for a change.
And he took off.
Yeah, what a surprise. Now, that's a dangerous guy. You know,
Yeah,
he keeps
I know.
running from the police and doesn't care. And
stealing vehicles and just, nonchalantly disappearing in the middle of a cornfield. And
well,
showing up.
he makes it so he's so reckless and dangerous because he knows the police will give it up.
Yeah.
You know, the police don't want to see anybody hurt, but he apparently didn't give a damn.
No.
So it's good that he was rounded
Well,
up.
I hope they do more than just slap his wrist. I think that's a guy that maybe needs to disappear for a little while.
I think that's a guy that needs to chill.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, whip him into shape.
Well, no.
And
You don't
hope-
whip somebody like that into shape. I mean, he's in the shape he's in.
Yeah, 10 days isn't going to do it. So.
No, you're right. It isn't.
Well, again, I wanted to bring up, we had a call last week on the gentleman that wanted to be removed from the Lakeside mailing list.
But we don't know who he is.
We don't know who he is, so it's hard to get you. We can't delete the whole list. And so I did talk to Lori over in Parks and Rec, and she suggested you call them because that's administered in her office, and they will take him off the list. So
there we go.
If he's listening, just give Lori a call down at Parks and Rec. You will have to tell him who you are, though. So.
Yeah, you got to tell him.
Yeah, you can't remember.
I don't know how we missed that the last time.
Well, you said you knew him. You said you recognized the voice.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you did.
recognized
roll
the
the
voice
tape back.
because he had called before.
Oh, so you
not that
recognized
I
him.
knew him personally.
Oh, well, I don't know.
And I said that after the call had completed.
Apparently, we have a lot of friends in common. I thought maybe you knew everybody, so I didn't know.
We know Boger.
I saw Bob. I ran
Did you
into him
see
the other
Bob?
day at Taco Tico. Yeah.
Wow, what's he doing at Taco Tico? Is he
was in
working
with
there?
his granddaughter, so I would, he won't work.
Was he working in there?
No, he wasn't.
He'd look
working.
good in one of those hats.
Yeah, he would. In their T-shirt. They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had.
Why were there all the delays?
Well, there were a combination of things. We had to get the approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first
Really?
kind of a test case. Yeah. Well, this is the first legal.
I was going to say, there's graffiti everywhere.
Yeah, there's graffiti everywhere. But this is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. Dana's a Fort Dodge graduate. I don't think Tavantis was.
Tavantis lived here when he was a kid,
Yeah,
but
I
then
was
moved
gonna say
over
that-
to Waterloo.
Yeah.
Gully's a Fort Dodge name.
Yeah,
we got a lot of Gullys.
Helen's his grandmother.
Helen who?
Gully.
Oh.
Yeah, same last name.
I don't know who Helen Gully is.
Well, I could bring her in. You could talk to her.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, but
What
anyway, the
hell
mural
are you
started.
talking about?
The mural started. They kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in. We're going to have, it's interesting because the middle pillar, he has put the clock tower, the one that the supervisors approved yesterday for $4.8 or $5 million. They're going to utilize the center pillar for the clock tower, honoring Hoopla, the 3-on-3 basketball tournament that was held in Pleasant Valley for years. I don't think it's been 2 or 3 years, I think, since that's been down there. And then they're also Hoopla. You know, did you play in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. White Man Can't Jump. You know that, don't you?
No.
That was a Woody Harrelson movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. You're really weird today.
Yeah, thank you.
Even weirder than usual.
Weirder than normal. But anyway, they're going to put a train across the train trestle, and they just got it kind of roughed in. So if you come down the 7th Street Hill, heading down towards Sunkist, and that's right underneath the bridge, the Kenyon Road Bridge down there. So I invite you to go down there and look at the progress. Again, it's not done yet. They're still kind of forming it up and working on it. So that's happening.
You know, the great thing about just going to the messenger with breaking news is that they'll never ask you a question. They'll
That's
never
good.
ask why.
Were you gonna
They'll
ask me
just
a question?
reprint it in the most favorable light.
Yeah, in big letters.
In big letters.
Yeah,
And
got
say,
my
oh,
attention.
look, we got the story here. Now that we have the story, we're not going to do anything with it. Here's information.
Were you talking about today's paper, or?
No.
Oh,
I'm talking
You're living in the past again.
I'm talking about I'm living in the past.
Yeah, a week ago. That's old news.
Way back there, huh?
Way back there. Way back a week ago. I heard you were going to grill me, so I'm kind of diverting your attention. Yeah.
Grill you about what?
I don't know.
What do you have to say here?
Nothing. If you want to ask me stuff, I'm pretty.
Okay. What are we doing at the crossroads there, Doctor?
Today?
Or can't you tell me only the messenger?
I can tell you
because you'll get your little pictures smiling in the messenger. Dr. Becky said this is a wonderful plan and we fully support it.
Well, we don't
because
have
that's
a
what
plan.
Bemrick and Furyk wanted.
We don't
oh,
have a
here's a picture of David Furyk. Here's a picture of Matt Bemrick. They fully support this program. We're very confident that something will happen.
If you notice, Matt's picture looks like it was taken like his sophomore year in high
Well,
school.
because it was. He doesn't even look like that anymore.
Furyk
Not
at least
really.
updated his a couple years ago because we made fun of him, and I think he updated his picture. But Matt's a little bit behind.
David rarely changes, though.
Well, he does. I don't know.
He doesn't. What?
I don't know.
Have you noticed a change in David Furyk in recent years?
I don't notice a change in myself, but
yes,
my wife, my wife keeps pointing it out.
Well, I can point that out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're old.
Yeah, well,
for one thing, I mean,
not
there
as
you
old
go.
as you.
Not quite.
But anyway, the mall is, as far as I know, is progressing. We had a entity who is unknown made an offer to buy the mall, and by unknown it means I don't know who it was. I know it was not the city directly that made that offer to buy the mall. I do know that for a fact.
Wow, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We beat the messenger on this one.
Yeah, well, anyway, the long-term plans are to develop a site out there that's favorable for retail and possibly multifamily housing. We've been working with the retail coach for, several months now with different businesses that, we're trying to recruit to come to our community. And I realize that there's things out there that people want, but again, to get them to Fort Dodge, we have to show a strong population base with disposable income. And
well, we haven't got that.
Well, I don't know. A lot of nice cars but anyway, there's
a lot of nice cars. What kind of reference is this? Is this some kind of racist thing you got over there?
No.
All right.
Jeez,
Let's not be making any references.
No, I'm just saying.
Let's not making any implications.
No,
over there.
Our
racism has no place here.
And we've got
intolerance.
Yeah, I know it. But we have we have a middle class income level. How's that sound?
Middle class income level.
Yeah, so we don't need like a Saks
mainly
Fifth
enjoyed
Avenue.
by white people. See, there you go again.
Yeah. But we don't need a Saks Fifth Avenue. We don't need all the the fancy.
Saks Fifth
Avenue. We have to be.
How old are you?
Man, Nordstrom's would be nice.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, but anyway, we do have. Hopefully, we're going to have like 120 days. The mall has accepted the offer of this unknown entity, and they are progressing with 120-day, observation.
Good afternoon. You're on the air at Saks Fifth Avenue.
I was wondering what kind of goodies the doc is on. Middle class income?
Middle class income.
Fort Dodge?
Yeah, I
really?
know. Yep. Well, he can write prescriptions,
There you go. That's probably what it is.
I'm thinking.
I check his pockets.
I don't want to. You could check his pockets. I don't want to check his pockets.
Holy smokes.
I have spent $5.
I just wanted to congratulate him for saying that we have middle class income and appreciate my 30% tax increase I just got on my property tax. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. What, you didn't know that truck drivers made $100,000 a year? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, in big cities, but not here.
You got to be a public employee to make that sort of money. Thank you very much, though. All right, yeah, there you go.
Well, I might
Doctor.
point
Way to go.
out that we have not raised city portion of the property taxes
Oh, you
in
haven't?
the last 5 years. It's basically your increase in your taxes. You had a $26.5 million bond from Iowa Central. You had a school bond that went through. The only thing that went up was the assessments, which the city does not have anything to do with. That's a county thing. So your taxes may have gone up, but it wasn't the city's responsibility to do
Speaking of middle-class white ladies, I did see Representative Ann Meyer down there by the mural. I'm sure
Yes.
she hangs out there all the time.
I was mowing my lawn. Yeah.
I just got a message from Dr. Jim Meyer,
Yeah.
middle-class guy, middle-class income here.
Yeah. He's
he
upper
said he
middle
was.
class.
He said he was with Representative Meyer at Pleasant Valley, and he was there for mural support.
Yeah, I know. That was...
I looked at that and I thought, Ann, you may be going a little too far here, as if you hang out in the neighborhood all the time.
She actually has. She has been to the last couple of Pleasant Valley awareness meetings. Too,
I know
so she's
very good
she's
about.
very
those things.
involved.
She's
She
very
comes
good
to
about
a lot of different things.
She would be. Hopefully she's our representative for many years. I can't think of anybody who would be better.
Yeah,
but I thought it was a little over the top. It looks like she was going to climb that ladder there on this for a minute in her dress, of course.
I was actually looking for my Growth Alliance propaganda.
You were looking
sheet.
for your,
trying
your
to
Growth
show,
Alliance. They don't tell me anything either.
Well, that's understandable. But they actually have a brochure out that shows the way that our wages have increased in the last 10 years. It's been a pretty dramatic increase,
Really?
mainly because of the...
These people must all be living out of town.
Well,
then.
that's the, and I address this all the time with our backpack program, that the numbers of free and reduced meals in Fort Dodge have not gone down in the last 10 years.
52% of all our kids in
That's a
school
little
are
bit higher
eligible
than that.
for free and it's how much?
Well, that's about 62%.
62%.
Yeah.
So actually it's increased.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of people, even who work for the city, and I brought this up to Ferrick the other day, there's a lot of people who work for the city of Fort Dodge who don't live in Fort Dodge.
Well, we're regional. We're regional.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, sometimes it's like our shopping. We don't just rely on Fort Dodge numbers. We have to rely on the region and the draw. So,
if you work for the city,
yeah,
you should live here.
Well, you said that, and you told Ferrick that.
I told Ferrick that, but of course Ferrick isn't going to make that a requirement. No. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, or Saks Fifth Avenue, whichever you prefer. You're on the air. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Oh,
it scared him.
No,
it was your demeanor.
Telemarketer.
No, it was your demeanor. I would have bought something just to get out of this conversation. But anyway,
no racism over there.
Yeah, 120 days.
Don't invade Poland.
120 days. They signed the agreement, I think, about a week and a half ago. So the plan is to basically get in, look at the mall, see what's wrong with it. Structurally, they have established that there is cash flow out there.
What's wrong with the mall? There's nobody there.
Well, that's a fact. That's a fact. Well,
we got to find out what's wrong with the mall.
That's part of the discussion. Is that with long-term plans of the mall, there's several different aspects we need to look at. One is that the primary use of the mall now is with the mall walkers. So what's going to happen if they change the structure of the mall? Where are the mall walkers going to go? And that's important because at your age, you're prone to have a heart attack, and it looks like any minute now might happen. But the other thing is that we do not want redevelopment of a mall area to affect the long-term plans for downtown, because we really need to coordinate with Main Street and the people downtown. Some of the businesses in the mall may be better suited for downtown environments. They may not need the space at the mall, the cost of the mall. But it is convenient if you get people out there. I mean, obviously everybody wants to be there, but at the present time, we just don't have anybody going there because we got empty storefronts. You got the empty Sears, which isn't part of the mall.
Yeah, let's not go there for the empty
Yonkers.
Sears or Yonkers or Pennies. That's just all
but the
sad.
thing is, everybody keeps
Very
saying,
sad.
I heard rumor discussion that they were talking about moving the rec center out there, but that's not going to work because that is not a tax generating entity.
Well, Nevin and those guys, Nevin Mulholland and those guys would never stand for that because they got to have the rec center to make the Warden Plaza work.
Well, maybe. We'll find out. At the end of September, KDG and the rec center people are doing a workshop, so we'll find out what their plans are. Hopefully we'll get some discussion.
Mulholland's right. We need a rec center, though. We got to have a rec
think
center.
we absolutely have to have one, and I think one thing that we're missing is...
I think the reason we haven't gotten one is we keep screwing around waiting for this Warden Plaza deal.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to find out. But again, a competitive
We've
swim
been
pool.
supposed to find out for quite some time.
I know. I keep track of that. I have a full notebook full of it.
Do you?
I actually have a list of questions to ask them when they come in September, too. because I need some clarification on some items that they've neglected to clarify. But anyway, I think we need a competitive swim pool in this town. Iowa Central and the high school, the high school's got a good pool, but we need a competitive one like down in Des Moines.
I think so. You know whose son is a
yes.
Yeah, Ferrick's son is a competitive swimmer.
I know it.
I had to find that out of the messenger too.
Did you?
I did.
He's got a couple kids in high school that are very good swimmers.
I had to find that out from the messenger. David Ferrick's kids are competitive swimmers.
Yeah,
apparently.
His son Andrew, I think I saw him. He worked for Parks and Rec this year.
Yeah,
he painted actually fire hydrants. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of exciting things, and I don't know what's going to happen at the mall. It could go south on us again. We got 120 days, I guess. Whoever this entity is that's investigating the mall.
An entity.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, so I call them an entity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, there's all kinds of options up in Mason City. We can talk about that later, but Mason City is redeveloping a portion of their mall into an ice skating rink.
Mason City's always been about 3 steps ahead of us.
Well, they like to think so.
No, they don't like to think so. I've been saying it.
Do they have a prestige plant in Mason City? Oh, that's right.
No,
they shot that down.
They shot that down. They
shot that down.
They got a bunch of school teachers together, as a matter of fact, up there in Sarasota County, and screwed up the Prestige plant up there.
Yep.
But I do believe some people in Webster County spoke very harshly to the Prestige people and convinced them to take their pork plant up to Sarasota County in the first place.
Oh, who would do that?
Yeah. Well, I
Wasn't
know.
me.
I know, and you know.
I know who.
I know who.
I know who.
Practically told them to get out of town.
Yeah, and they did. They ended up by
and they went to Sarasota County, where
they were shot down.
Where they were shot down because Mason City is just not that type of town to have a pork plant in there.
Too high class.
Eagle Grove and Clarion apparently are, and I'm glad that they are. But now what we have, of course, is we have the Prestige plant in the neighborhood anyway. Only Webster County gets no tag.
No.
See how sharp we are?
Yeah.
See how damn sharp we are?
The people here.
Hopefully we'll get. Hopefully. We would have had the property tax.
But they
already.
could get us to our new redeveloped mall. They'd come in and shop, spend money, lots of money.
I tell you, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway,
all right,
we're working on it.
That's good to know. We're gonna have to take a break here.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
Racism and intolerance are not tolerated on this program. No invading Poland. None of that stuff, okay? I'm Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth, and you're listening to AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge, the news, and more Menke in just a few minutes.
Every month after paying my bills, I used to wonder if I'd have enough money left to buy groceries. Sometimes I did. A lot of times I didn't. Then I learned about 211. It's the number seniors can call for help finding food. With their help, I found a food pantry near me. Now I don't have to wonder if I'll be able to afford groceries because there's plenty of food for everyone. Call 211 for help finding healthy food near you.
Funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. Kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is a second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing. He took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get him get his face out there. So anybody that has information, let us know. It'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine with the weather. Not too bad. Right now in Fort Dodge, let me refresh. It's 69 degrees and partly cloudy. There's a slight chance of a thunderstorm around, now. Then some rain later on and probably overnight. We'll have a high today of 75 degrees. Overnight, mostly cloudy, maybe a little rain. Clear toward morning with a low of 53. Gosh, we got to get our furnaces on now. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 75. Friday, sunny with a high of 77. Saturday, it'll be sunny with a high of 77. Light rain overnight Saturday night into Sunday. Sunday, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 80. On Monday, again, a good chance of a thunderstorm, sunny with a high of 80. And on Tuesday, sunny with a high of 78. Farmers will probably like that, I think. Right now, again, 79 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Mary Wolf has passed away. Services for Mary Wolf will be at 10:30 in the morning Wednesday at the United Methodist Church in Eagle Grove. The services are being handled by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services. John Hebert has passed away at the age of 79. John A. Hebert from Rockwell City died. His service is Friday, August 23rd at the Church of Christ in Rockwell City. My sincere sympathy to the Hebert family. John was a good guy. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. 69 degrees at 2:37 AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Marley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 3 cents at $3.62.5. December up 1.5 cents at $3.70 1/4. March up 1 1/4 at $3.82.5. May up 1.5 at $3.90 1/4. September soybeans up 4 3/4 at $8.60.5. November up 4 3/4 at $8.73. January up 4 3/4 at $8.86 3/4. March beans up a nickel at $9 1/4. September wheat closed up 2 1/2 at $4.62.5. Soybean meal up 70 cents a ton at $2.94.70. August live cattle up 87 cents at $102.67. October up 22 at $100.22. August feeder cattle up 107 at $137.37. September up 157 at $135.30. October lean hogs down 167 at $63.30. December down $1.50 at $62.67. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Need to brighten up your home? Hi, this is Dean Sternberg with Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home. Many people don't know we sell and install cabinets, Gerber window treatments, walk-in ceramic showers, as well as all other types of flooring. Why pick your installer from a card on a board where you have no idea of their capabilities when you can get a fully bonded and insured installation from Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home? We've been in the business since 1952 and stand behind every sale. Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home across from Decker Truck Line in Fort Dodge.
As the nation's leader in pork production and pork exports, Iowa's pork producers are doing things right. It's their ethical and moral responsibility. Hog farmers keep their pigs safe and healthy, safeguard natural resources, protect public health, and build strong communities every day. Pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement are roles they take very seriously. Iowa's pork producers, producing safe, affordable food. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
The Webster County pork producers remind you when it comes to protecting their family's health, Iowa's pig farmers are some of the most concerned people around. Safe, affordable, delicious, and nutritious pork can be served for your dinner tonight. Roasted, grilled, stewed, sautéed, stir-fried, broiled, kebabbed, sauced, dipped, sandwiched in your new recipes and your old recipes. Why not buy some pork today and serve it up tonight? This message brought to you by the Webster County pork producers, striving to serve people, pigs, and the planet.
Need a new roof? Have you considered that there's very few roofers to choose from, and come September, everyone at once will decide their roof must be completed before winter? The last thing you want is the winter roof that will never seal properly, or an improperly installed roof done by a contractor you may never see again. Don't wait any longer. Call Hahn Roofing today, and in most cases, they can start your project within 2 weeks and finish within 1 or 2 days. Call Hahn Roofing today for your free estimate. 515-573-7440. That's Hahn Roofing, 515-573-7440.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, and I'm announcing the formation of a new support group. People who have been dissed and treated badly by Matt Bemrick and David Fierk. I expect to hear from Michelle any moment as to meeting times. And David's wife as well. Yes, people who have been dissed badly by Matt Bemrick and David Fierk. You know, the mayor will be over here tomorrow telling me how sensitive I am. Do I seem like a sensitive guy to you, Terry?
No, you don't.
I think I'm very sensitive. I've sat around listening to James Taylor and listening to Rod McEwen. Reading Rod McEwen poems. Remember Rod McEwen?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I would love to see James Taylor at Red Rocks.
James Taylor at Red Rocks in Denver?
He was out there a year or two ago. And
you old hippie, you man.
Yeah, well, you know, he's...
Did you pitch a tent and get some dope and check out the tunes, or what?
No. Speaking of that, I'm going to see Joe again, Bonamassa.
Joe, where is he? When is
Minneapolis. He's going to be up. He's got a new album coming out, and he's on his perpetual tour. You know, he never quits touring. So
he rocks, man.
Yeah, he's always going. So yeah. So
I'd love to see his. You and I saw his. He has 2 shows. You and I saw his kind of. It wasn't the electric show that we saw.
The acoustics.
The acoustic, yeah.
And that guy can play an acoustic guitar. My fingers hurt just watching him.
But he has an even better, I think, electric blues show. Right. Man, he cooks. You know, he's just out there.
I've seen him with the orchestra behind him a couple of times, and he really rocks.
He does.
Yeah,
that's more my deal.
Very talented. Yeah.
So what's in Minneapolis? Is it the acoustic or the electric?
I don't know what he's doing right now. It's too early, probably. I just want to let you know my source inside of a private organization here in town says that we've had a 13.6% wage growth over the last 5 years in Webster County.
Your source here in town?
So your middle age income has gone up.
My middle age?
Yeah, your middle age.
You mean the middle class income?
Yeah, but I was just picking fun of it. Yeah, so anyway.
So the poor people keep getting poorer, though, don't they? I mean,
yeah, but, the poor people are growing, too.
So we've had a 13 point. Where do they live? I mean, do they live in Fort Dodge? That's beginning to be the question, How can you work for the city of Fort Dodge? How can you be a fireman or policeman and not live here?
Oh, the fire and police have a restriction.
They do have a restriction?
Yeah, we did that 2 or 3 years ago. It was 10, and I think now it's 15 miles. They have to be able to respond within about 20 to 25 minutes. So...
Yeah. So you can live in Badger, right?
Yeah, you can live in Badger. Okay. Actually, we had a police officer who lived in Manson for a number of years.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's a little tough.
There was a big fight over that, as I recall, too.
Yeah. But anyway, I think, especially with our fire department, when you've got, even our police department is, you work 24-hour shifts 7 days a week. You got people kind of strung out, and you've only got, 5 or 6 people out at any one time. So it's nice to have backup when you need it.
I want to talk with you about the city broadband. It's interesting we start talking city-owned broadband, and some guy from MediaCom runs for council against Councilman Hill. Whoa! Was this a coincidence?
That's I was to say.
Kind of like when Rod Halverson started proposing restrictions on the trucking business in town. Boom! Phil Ledley all of a sudden appeared.
Well, I'm sure
who worked at Decker's to run against him.
Yeah, but anyway, the broadband survey is out. It's running through Friday. So if you haven't filled it out, did you fill yours out?
Yes, I did.
You did. Well, congratulations. It took you long enough. But anyway, the broadband survey, the initial report.
I did it online.
Yeah, well, that's how they do it.
That's how they do it?
Yeah, they check your speed.
They check my speed.
Yeah, don't do it on your phone. Do it on your home computer, because that way you can check your speed, and it gives a little bit better accurate information.
How do you check your speed?
And at the end of the survey, they give you a little link, and you click on it, and it does it. You can actually check it at any time by just going to speed test. You can run that at any time on your computer.
Go to speed test.
You can go to speed test, but that's one way of doing it. But during the survey, they want to do it so they can accumulate data. In certain areas of town with the older wiring and poorer wiring, like everything on the west part of town, basically. So, I mean, the people that need this are, definitely out there. The survey has been pretty strongly suggestive to the fact that the community is supportive of looking at fiber optic broadband. Don't think the city will probably be able to fund that by ourselves, because the numbers I hear are 20 million or something like that, and we just don't have that kind of capability. But by having a resolution, which is going to be set on Monday, a resolution to support a referendum during the election, so the city doesn't have to pay additional costs to run the election, which is $20-some thousand to the county. Since it's going to be a ballot anyway, we're going to put it on the ballot if the resolution passes Monday night, which I think it will. And then the voters can indicate if they support a referendum. That doesn't mean that we're going to build a fiber optic system, but it does give us more or less the ability to go to different providers and show them the interest in the community, and give the people in the community an opportunity to participate if they would like. Again, this would not be tax supported. It would not be an increase in your property taxes or your utility rates. It would be a separate, more than likely a separate fee with a private company is what we're hoping. Again, we're hoping to stimulate interest from outside providers, but that isn't going to stop us from working with MediaCom or Frontier if they're interested. And there's other smaller providers that have kind of nibbled on the edge of Fort Dodge, but haven't been able to provide everything to town. But the fiber optic speeds are just blazing. I mean, you look at these smaller communities, and they're able to do a lot of things. A lot of people on their TVs, they use that Roca. Whatever is that? I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but that's internet based. And then you subscribe to like Hulu or one of the TV streaming services. In my area, I cannot use that because our internet speed is so slow that it just.
That's painful, isn't it?
It's just I remember the day.
One thing after another, I sort of.
Well, I used a dial-up modem. When we first started this years ago.
Dial-up modem.
Yeah, you remember that?
You are back in the old days.
Well, back in the days when I had the bookstore, we used to order books, and it'd take me forever. It'd take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to order books, and now you can do it in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the need is there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It is a driving force for a lot of companies to look at, the faster speeds. I know the hospital with telemedicine and communication, electronic health records, insurance filings, just movie streaming, TV watching, educational. I was with Superintendent Jesse Ulrich at a meeting and talking about, fast service, and they've got kids actually sitting in the doorways of the school so they can access internet because they either can't afford it at home or it's so slow that they can't download what they need to do to get their homework done. So, we're giving the kids Chromebooks, and, I think St. Ed's and the public school systems now are providing computers to the kids, but again, with internet service sporadic and slow, it's very frustrating. So, I mean, we need to do this. I don't think it's anything we really need to discuss. I think it's just something we need to do, or get somebody in here to get it going. So, I'm hoping that resolution and that referendum will be approved by the voters, and then we'll go out and start searching for providers. And again, sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I read this in the messenger so that I understand it.
Well, it's been on Facebook.
It's been on Facebook.
The city, Amanda Holmes does our Facebook posts and following, and I think she's done a very good job of getting information out there. And I saw just earlier today that Citizens Academy, that application deadline is Friday too. So there's still a few openings. If you have an interest, sign up. It's a good opportunity for you to get behind the scenes of what's happening in the community.
By the way, I would like to say that the Academy, Citizens Academy, has openings. I'm going to take Citizens Academy. You can go to FortDodgePolice.org, or you can go to the Fort Dodge Police Facebook page to sign up. It's a great course. I took the very first one when Chief Carmody was still here.
Yep.
And I'm ready to do it again. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. You're on the air with Minky.
Yes, Mike. I'm one of these unhappy people. Doc, you were on last week, and you were talking about the dam removals.
Right.
And then you mentioned right at the end something about the west side of the big dam. You're not going to take the ledge out, are you?
Well, that concrete slab over there, they're talking about redeveloping around the powerhouse that was remaining. That will become a little bit easier access, more of a walk-down area. That big slab of concrete was put in '65 to battle erosion, and I think as plans develop, they're going to, as the riverfront develops, which as a result of the mall, that may slow down just a little bit since some of our money's been tied up. But as our stream bank credits come in, we're hoping to improve the access from that west side and improve the parking and everything over there.
Well, does the ledge go out or not?
Well, the ledge will probably stay there. They're going to have to build some steps and stairways down there. So I'm not sure if the entire thing will be wiped out. As that river kind of assumes its natural course, that ledge becomes less of an issue, I think, because it may be far away from the riverbank enough where we can take that out and redevelop it. But it's going to be kind of settling in over the next year or two. And once they get the 5 foot of dam out of there, then we'll be able to tell better what the river's going to do. And then they'll come back in with some kind of a plan to redo that area. So the ledge may not be affected, but I wouldn't be surprised if that water didn't pull away a little bit from that powerhouse, and the ledge is just going to be a ledge.
Okay, that was a good answer. Thank you.
You bet.
Bye.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I turned my microphone off because I'm having a protein bar.
Yeah, you need all the protein you can get.
I do.
Yeah. So a couple other things happening. We had an extended Main Street meeting yesterday. Mason City came down as part of the Main Street program. The cities kind of swap members. They go up there, and some of our members went up there, and some of their members came down here.
So it isn't like wife swapping or something. No, that's kind of disgusting.
No, they basically do a walkthrough of the Main Street area, make note of issues that they notice and things that they enjoy. They loved our flower planters on Central Avenue. That's something that they don't have in Mason City. They did note the fact that we have some vacant storefronts, which I think we're very well aware of. The street needs a little bit of work, and basically there were some little things, but nothing really eye-opening. So it was an interesting visit. I think they've got a lot going for them up in Mason City. They have free parking in their parking lots. 12 hours, I think, you can park, and there's no meters. They were taken back by the fact that we had meters downtown. And they were, I think, also mentioned a lot of them came early in the spring, and they came on a Monday, which probably isn't the best day for people to be out shopping downtown. So they noted that we didn't have a lot of foot traffic downtown, but again, it's probably more the time of the year than anything. They also thought some of our signage needed some improvements. They were looking for places to eat and whatever, and they were having a hard time, I guess, negotiating downtown. One group ended up at TC Mays, which was kind of cool, and a couple of them ended up at Old Boston's. They did note that our store owners and employees are very friendly and approachable. They felt that it was a very convenient place to shop and enjoy downtown, but they did have some suggestions and obviously things that we need to look at. Main Street is doing several things downtown. They've been active now for a year and a half. They've got some plans to create, let me make sure I get this right, a barking lot, which is that corner on a barking lot They're going to put some benches, some, I guess, fake stuff, and they're going to screen off those buildings on the 12th Street roundabout on that north corner there, or the back of the buildings where there's some dumpsters back there with some apartments that get a little bit overflowing on occasion. Luke Huggins with McClure is in charge of that committee, and I think they're going to start planting some bushes and screening areas, and then they're going to create like a little dog park there. And the thing they wanted to make sure everybody knew is that stuff will be removable, because if there's any redevelopment in that area, they will be able to move those benches and everything, the artwork pieces that they have down there are able to be moved. They are looking hopefully at redoing Central Avenue in the near future. We do not have to do any infrastructure down there. Chad Schaefer was at the meeting yesterday. Basically, it would be a mill and overlay type situation, which could be done relatively inexpensive. But the big thing is that if we're going to do that, we also need to look at redoing the sidewalks down there, because the pavers and the sidewalk itself is not in very good shape.
Putting in those bumps was not a good idea.
No, and I talked to him about that, and basically that was for handicap accessibility and make the pedestrians so they can get from side A to side B.
I thought it was to slow down people when they turned around the corners, because statistics were showing at the time that if someone was injured in a downtown setting, it was usually crossing the sidewalk.
Yeah,
People were turning.
they said it just took too long. I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's just an inconvenience, because all that happens is during the wintertime, the snow plows just kind of run into them. And
Well, that happened right away.
Yeah, you look at the
Tore
west.
them up.
The west end of the 12th Street roundabout, the curb there was hit real hard by a snow plow, and the curbing is in bad shape, and that's only a year or two old, so that's pretty bad. So downtown is continuing to work. They've got an active hospitality group. They've got Restaurant Week coming up, and they're going to use that in conjunction with the sculpture dedication the end of September. You may have noticed that the lot over there across from City Hall, they've got that knocked down. They hauled some dirt in. They will probably start creating a plaza there for the sculpture in the next week or two. They did stack the dirt a little high on the east side on that wall to stabilize that wall. We were looking at that as a possible site for a mural, but they want to wait and get a structural engineer in to look at it to make sure that the wall will stand by itself. So a lot of things are happening in downtown, but again, with the mall redevelopment, we have to be very well aware of the fact that we have to protect and nurture our downtown also. So those are ongoing problems.
Did you hear what Dr. Jill Biden had to say about her husband, Vice President Biden?
No, I didn't.
Well, Joe is going to be Joe, and he'll, screw things up quite a bit. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he'll get things wrong, but, he's better than Trump. There's a ringing endorsement, isn't it?
Not really.
Why doesn't she just say he's bad in the sack and be done with it?
right down that path again, huh?
Yeah. Well, he's terrible in bed, but vote for him anyway. He's not Trump.
Yeah. So anyway, the Rib Ruckus is this Saturday. I know you'll be.
The Rib Ruckus.
I know you'll be there. That's
I
on
will.
the north side of the library. They'll have that blocked off, and also the Kayla Jones Run, the motorcycle memorial run for Kayla Jones, young lady that was killed in a car accident a few years ago.
That was tragic, wasn't it? Just
15
terrible.
years old. Yeah, and that's going to be on Saturday down at Lefty's, and so
that's going to be a pretty big event.
Yeah, 400 and some bikes, I think, every year. So they have a good time. They do a good ride, and they raise a lot of money. I think the Bacon family and that whole group has done a very good job getting them out and about, and they give scholarships every year, multiple scholarships. So anyway, let's see, what else we got? Oh, 2nd Avenue North, there was some confusion on my part, because when they did 22nd...
I can't believe that.
Yeah, well, but they were supposed to finish 2nd Avenue North from 22nd over to the railroad tracks, and they didn't do that. And I contacted Tony yesterday, Tony Trotter, our city engineer. He said that they were a little worried about condition of 22nd. They weren't sure they were going to have enough money. So now that the road is done and everything turned out well, they're working with Fort Dodge Asphalt to come back in and hopefully redo that little section, because that over by the railroad tracks is quite rough.
So is your wife going to come out and say, Councilman Menke is
No.
pretty average, but he's better than whoever else would run?
No, she wouldn't do that.
She wouldn't do that.
No.
I shouldn't even brought that up. You'll keep her in the house for the next 2 months. Good afternoon. You're on the air at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Yeah, is there going to be any more work on 14th Street? They did about a block there earlier this year, but the next 5 blocks really need to be done.
Yeah, that's on the schedule. They wanted to get 22nd done first because of school starting, and 14th and 22nd were 2 big projects this year. So 14th Street, they're working out by Kennedy Park now on the highway. That's where the crew's at, Fort Dodge Asphalt. So once they finish up there, I think they plan on coming back and doing 14th. But you're right, 14th is basically a dirt road in sections. It's bad. I mean, that was bad 2 years ago when we brought it to everybody's attention. So that is going to be done. I think they started it, and then they moved on to 22nd just because of the time frame that they had.
Yeah, they did the 1 block, and that's great, but the rest of it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, they're coming back. They'll get it done. They're going to knock it off. I don't know where they're going to stop, but as far as I'm concerned, they can just keep going north on that street and keep fixing it. But they will be back.
Well, that's a good deal.
All right, thanks for your call. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Our guest has been Dr. Terry Menke. Thank you, Terry.
No problem.
All right, it's 2:59.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950, they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments, we would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Hi, I'm Jill Biden, and my husband's a little feeble, but he's better than whoever else is in the White House or running for president. Now, there's a campaign commercial waiting to happen. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you for listening. This is KVFD, Fort Dodge, Iowa. The pork producers are next.
This is Dave Graveline. Be sure to listen to Into Tomorrow right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Does the new U.S. Defense Chief have a red line? I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Secretary Mark Esper giving an exclusive interview a short time ago to Fox's Jennifer Griffin, who noted the previous defense chief's departure after the president pulled troops out of Syria, asking Esper whether pulling all troops out of Afghanistan would be a red line for him.
My issue with any person I ever worked for was I would never do anything that is either illegal, immoral, or unethical, and I don't believe the president's going to ask me to do any one of those 3.
Esper would not say whether President Trump has agreed to leave any U.S. troops in Afghanistan as peace talks with the Taliban continue. More of that interview on Special Report with Brett Baer, 6 Eastern tonight on Fox News Channel. Meantime, the president speaking at a veterans conference in Kentucky, where he also just signed a memorandum to eliminate student loan debt for every veteran who is permanently disabled. Before he left for Kentucky, the president taking questions from reporters on a wide range of topics, including the Danish territory that is not for sale. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump explaining why he canceled a planned state visit to Denmark in less than 2 weeks after the Danish prime minister dismissed the idea of the U.S. purchasing Greenland as absurd.
All they had to do is say, no, we'd rather not do that, or we'd rather not talk about it. Don't say what an absurd idea that is.
The president called that response nasty and inappropriate and said it was disrespectful to the United States. Denmark has been a long-standing American ally and allows the U.S. to operate an airbase and radar station in Greenland. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Wall Street rallies. The Dow up 241 points at the closing bell. Stronger than expected second quarter reports from some retailers, including Target and Lowe's, helping to boost the market. America is listening to Fox News.
You're a small business owner, and there's nothing small about what you do. That's why Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored tech solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus thousands of top-brand electronics, accessories, and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Ah, the copperhead snake. It hisses before attacking. But that's not a copperhead. That's the Sullivan's RV freshwater tank overflowing into their black one, which is backing into their vent pipe, making for a very different kind of attack.
one that arrives just in time for taco night. It's wild out there. When it gets too wild, Progressive has your RV covered. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Two teenage murder suspects who killed themselves during a weeks-long manhunt in Canada reportedly recorded a last will and testament on a cell phone, saying goodbye to their families.
Police would not confirm to Fox News that tape exists, only saying they'll give an update in the coming weeks. But one family member who reportedly saw that tape interviewed with the Vancouver Star. That person told the newspaper they watched about 30 seconds of that video, saying police have the rest and the families don't know what else is on it or how long the recording is. The tape, if it exists, could hold answers as to why Briar Schmigelsky and Cam McLeod allegedly killed 3 people, including a North Carolina woman and her Australian boyfriend, as well as a Canadian botany professor.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. The suspects were found dead with self-inflicted gunshot wounds 2 weeks ago. Multiple celebrities duped by a privacy hoax on social media.
Instagram's chief, Adam Mosseri, debunking a viral copyright meme claiming the platform is changing its privacy policies to use photos of users against them. Mosseri posting, "It's not true." The hoax, similar to one previously seen on Facebook, it's a block of text threatening user photos will become public and be able to be used in court cases. A slew of A-listers falling for it, including Rob Lowe, Julia Roberts, and even Secretary of Energy Rick Perry. The former Texas governor realizing the error, following up, saying, "I'll be darned. First time I've seen anything fake on the internet." Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Recapping the retail-driven rally on Wall Street. The Dow up 241, back over 26K. The NASDAQ back over 8,000. Even though the latest Fed minutes from the July meeting show big disagreement over interest rate cuts. Some board members didn't want any rate cut at all. Some wanted a much bigger cut. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. Kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is the second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing, he took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get his face out there, so anybody that has information, let us know. It'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car, because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, Boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 75, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet. Tonight, lows dip down to about 53. Mainly clear skies and quiet again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 69.
Now, we've all heard this way too often.
Want a car? But you must act now, because these deals won't last long.
If you're like me, when it comes to making a big purchase like buying a car, you don't want someone yelling a lot and pressuring you into getting something you can't afford. So I did my research.
For your next used vehicle, do your research and then head to Humboldt Motor Sales. The atmosphere is relaxing and they'll help you find the pre-owned vehicle of your dreams. So when people ask where you got your ride, the answer is simple. Humboldt Motor Sales or online at HumboldtGM.com.
The General Store sells quality used clothing and household goods. Proceeds from their sales go for people supported by the nonprofit organization One Vision. One Vision provides services to nearly 600 people with special needs in 30 Iowa communities. One Vision finds them affordable, safe housing in their communities, including Clear Lake, Mason City, Garner, Forest City, Osage, Eagle Grove, Webster City, Humboldt, and Fort Dodge. Every purchase you make at the General Store helps the people served by One Vision. Shop the General Store, Fort Dodge.
Loffersweiler Funeral Home is pleased to announce the addition of our crematory. I'm Luke Loffersweiler. The addition of our on-site crematory is another example of how we consistently exceed expectations and deliver a standard of service that is 100% guaranteed. At Loffersweilers, we're honored to give your family our assistance and expertise, taking care of even the smallest details before, during, and after the funeral, so you can begin the healing process. We're Loffersweiler Funeral Home, Fort Dodge, a trusted friend of the family for over 160 years.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, the doctor of truth. You can call me Truth. I think we've known each other that well. The Rib Ruckus is coming up, and here to talk about the Rib Ruckus is Tim Maple. How are you, Tim?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Well, I'm good as always, man. How can I be bad? How can I be bad? Really, I'm just always good. What's the Rib Ruckus?
Rib Ruckus is Fort Dodge's first Rib Fest.
A rib fest.
That's
We're
right.
talking pork ribs, beef ribs. This
Pork
is the pork
ribs.
producer's time, so I can't
That's
imagine.
right.
although I will tell you, I was down at the pork producer's tent broadcasting live during the state fair just last week. And my first interview was a couple of guys from Cattlemen's Association.
Perfect.
Scott Neese and Scott McGregor. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So it's all pork ribs. Is this a competition or what's going on?
It sure is. So this will be our first year of the rebrand of the event. Some people may be familiar with the event as the Fort Dodge Barbecue Battle. But this year we kind of have revamped how we're doing things. We've dropped it back down into a one-day event rather than a two-day event. Try to condense things a little bit and focus a little bit more on the community side of it. So we thought, what better way to do that than to build this thing from the ground up as a Rib Fest.
What day is it?
August 24th, so this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Is this Saturday the 24th?
It sure is.
God. Okay. Where is it going to be at?
We're going to be downtown on the square.
Downtown on the square.
Yep, north side of the library. We'll have Central Avenue closed off along with North 5th Street right there, running up to First Avenue South.
Okay.
Isn't it First Avenue North? North, sorry.
Yeah, north. That would be north. Yeah, definitely. What times it get going?
Gates open at 11 o'clock. There'll be some limited sampling throughout the afternoon, and then the meat and potatoes of the event gets rolling at about 5:30 when we kick off our rib dinner.
How much? Yeah, I was going to say, how much does it cost for unlimited sampling?
It is $15 to get into the event, and that gives you all access to the event. So that gets you all the entertainment. We've got kids' activities, and then again, 5:30 we've got our rib dinner.
From 5:30, got a rib dinner.
That's
What else comes with a dinner?
So we've got the Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts program. we'll be out serving some side dishes. Sounds like we've got some potato salad coming, some coleslaw. They've got Chef Michael was telling me about some pretty intriguing asparagus pasta salad that they're going to whip up for us and bring out.
Asparagus pasta salad.
Yeah,
Never
sounds
had
good.
it before.
Sounds good.
Never had it before.
So, yep.
So, is this a competition then?
Yeah, yep, competition and
so
dinner.
if somebody wanted to compete, if I wanted to bring my ribs
Mm-hmm.
and enter, how would I do that?
So basically, you can either contact me directly at 515-302-9918, or you can reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ribs.ia.
Okay.
And express your interest in registration. It's a $75 entry fee, and we provide all the meat for the competition.
You provide the meat,
That's
but
right.
the entrants have to provide the grill and their sauces and all those sorts of things.
Yep. They got to provide what they need to get her done.
Okay. Well, anybody who wants to enter will certainly have that, I would think.
Yeah.
I would say. I would certainly think. So, how many entrants do you have so far?
Right now, we are sitting at a confirmed 20 teams.
Oh, really?
Potentially looking at hitting somewhere in the neighborhood of the 25 mark before the week's up. Yep.
Well, that's real good.
Yeah.
You could sample the hell out of things.
Oh yeah, do the math on that one. Walk around and take a rib from every team, and you magically got about 2.5 racks of ribs.
It's
on your
all
plate.
ribs, no loins, nothing like
Nope,
that.
all ribs. There is a steak competition that goes along with it, but steak's going to be pretty limited. Unfortunately,
There's
it's
a
not
steak competition.
Yep, steak and ribs.
So we got
steak.
beef. So we snuck some beef in there.
Yep,
after all.
we sure did. But we just budget didn't allow for to make the steak side of it an extravagant deal. It's kind of a time filler for the cooks so they don't get bored throughout the afternoon. get those guys standing around just staring at their grills all day, and you catch some of them sleeping and all that stuff.
Well, I suppose so. You gonna have beer there, or
You
pop,
bet.
or what?
Yep, we'll have we'll have a beer garden. So we'll have a beer tent. We'll have pop, water, all that good stuff.
So it's a $15 entry fee.
$15.
Okay. And the pop and beer, I'm sure, costs once you get in
Yep.
there.
Only additional expense you should have that day is going to be your beverage.
Okay. So you mentioned some sort of entertainment. What does that look like?
Yep. Well, we got the Tank Anthony band kicking off at 1 o'clock.
Tank Anthony.
That's
Where
right.
I've never heard of that before.
Oh,
where do they come from?
They come from Waterloo area.
Oh, really? What kind of band are they? Like
they
blues
do
or?
they do a lot of everything, really. They
Okay.
do a lot of country cover, some like southern rock, 80s rock covers.
Sure, yeah.
A little bit of everything, some pop covers, and they did do some mashup type stuff. So they take like some rock and some country, kind of throw them in together and stuff like that. They performed at the State Fair this year. Yeah, they had a phenomenal turnout for it. So they're great. They're very interactive, man. They love I think more than singing. Sometimes they love interacting with the people. So great group of guys. They're going to kick off 1 to 3 for us.
1 to 3. Okay.
Yep. And then from 4 to 5 would be the first set. 6 to 7 would be their second set. We have the Acoustic Republic coming, which is headed up by Jeremy Ober.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yes, yep. So we're excited to have those guys. We've been trying to arrange this for a couple of years now, and it never failed. Jeremy and the guys always had something going on the day of our event, but we got them locked in this year, and then get to bring back one of the local area legends to finish the night out for us from 8 to 10, Saucy Jack.
Saucy Jack, huh?
Yep.
All right.
So.
Well, that sounds like a pretty complete day, really.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So this is on the city square.
Yep.
Starts really, you can get in at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
But the big dinner doesn't start until 5:30.
Yep.
But you can sample as early as how?
As early, probably I would say probably as early as 11:30, 12 o'clock. There's potentially going to be some things to sample. It's not a requirement this year like it has been in the past, but we do have teams that will be cooking some additional foods and stuff throughout the day for people to sample on and stuff like that. So yep.
What do you do in real life, Tim?
I'm a graphic designer.
Graphic designer.
Yeah.
Well, that's that kind of ties together,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You got some artist thing to be a graphic designer, and You got to have a little artistry to do this rib ruckus thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't throw the meat on there.
Right. Yeah.
Now, show us give us a couple of samples of how you prepare your meat.
Typically it's pretty short, sweet, and simple for me. I stick to the basics, the old school route, man. A lot of salt and pepper. Throw a few select things in there that I'm not gonna share.
You're not gonna share. Oh,
for
come on, man.
For a little bit of flavor, and throw them babies on there for about 3 hours. Pull them back off. Give them a little bath in some squeeze butter. Wrap them up tight in foil. Run them about another hour, and yum.
I'm going to give you a hint on how to tenderize meat. You ready?
Yep.
Get yourself a big old bowl, throw a couple of cans of beer in it, put your ribs in there, let it sit overnight, and that meat will be so tender the next morning you won't believe it.
Oh, but you don't always have overnight.
Well, you got a few days to think about it. This is, it's only Wednesday. The rib ruckus is until Saturday.
Well, right.
You can put that in there, and man, that'll work out all right.
I can't do that. Food inspector says no.
Food inspector says you can't keep meat and beer in a refrigerator.
We can't keep it overnight. Everything's got to be done that day.
Yep. Really?
Which just adds to the competition side of it.
Okay.
Yep, everything's got to be. Yep. Teams.
Can you buy your meat the day before or not?
Oh yeah, we'll have all the meat and ready to go.
Okay.
Teams will start check-in approximately 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as they get everything up and rolling, then they'll acquire their meat from us, and it's on and cracking at that point.
You can just see some beady-eyed little bureaucrat down in the morning sitting around thinking, well, we better have them purchase their meat the day of the event. God, it's always something. You know?
Yeah.
God almighty. Anyway, well, that's going to be a great event. It really is, and I wish you ever success with it. And I think I'll be in town that day for a while. I don't think I'll be in town to get the big dinner, but
sure.
You have a great entertainment lineup, of course, and let's thank Greg Hora, by the way,
yes.
the pork producers, for allowing this time.
Those guys have been behind us and supported us since day one when we started this about 6 years ago.
Well, you're cooking their product, man.
Yeah, pork producers are awesome, and Prestige Foods stepped up huge for us.
Did they
this
really?
year. Oh yeah. So
good for them.
Prestige donated the ribs for the event this year, and kind of a last minute deal that came through for us, and couldn't be happier. Definitely pulled us out of a bind, and
sure.
And so it is shaping up to be a real good day.
All right. Well, that's good news. It's always good to have something going on in town. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been broadcasting live from the State Fair from the pork producers tent the last 4 or 5 years. I think it's been that long, and that's my best day always.
Mm-hmm.
At the State Fair, it's hanging out in the pork producers tent because they got every weird pork combination you can think of.
Oh yeah,
and it's all really good too.
Yep. You know what I like about the pork producers is they're just a good group of guys.
Yeah, they are a good group. Yeah, they're a good group to work with. Don't pay any attention to them. That's Elaine and Renee. They work here. I don't even know what they're doing. You girls don't know anything about that stuff. Get out of there. Get out of there.
You can see any one of those guys walking around on the street and say hi,
producers.
and they're gonna stop. They're gonna chat with you. They're gonna say hi, and again, like I said, Greg Hora. There's not much more I can say about that man.
He is a pork producer.
Yes, he is, and he has been a very, very good advocate for us. So, and we appreciate it greatly.
All right,
I mean, he gives us his radio space.
There you go. Tim Maple has been our guest. We're talking Rib Ruckus this weekend down at the City Square. Hope to see you there. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
The battle against weed resistance. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Roundup Ready Extended Crop System. Research has shown that a farmer's best chance to control weeds happens when they spray early. In this Managing for Profit, University of Wisconsin weed scientist Rodrigo Worley says now is the perfect time for farmers to start planning for weed control in the 2020 crop year. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies.
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
University of Wisconsin weed scientist Rodrigo Worley says it's evident now more than ever that farmers need new tools to combat weed resistance.
You can clearly see out there lots of fields struggling with water hemp. Water hemp, clearly the number one weed species across the Midwest, with Palmer amaranth creeping in. Soybean growers really struggling to control weeds post-emergence, and that's why this novel technologies that we now have access to, like dicamba-tolerant beans, they become very important for these growers because it gives them an additional option for control post-emergence of resistant weed species.
He tells Brownfield research shows the Roundup Ready Extend program is successful when farmers can get in the fields early.
What we're seeing, if you put a good pre-emergent herbicide down with effective sites of action at the time of planting, if you're starting clean, whether that's going to be via tillage, if tillage is part of your system, or if you're, at the time of a pre-emergent application, you're putting an effective burn down at that time, so that allows you to start clean. If you want to put your pre-emergence down, you want to come in 3 to 4 weeks, and this is when you got to be putting your post-emergence application out there, particularly if you have heavier infestations of water hemp. And if you're in a scenario where your soybeans are going to take a long time for canopy closure, the recommendation there is also to bring a layered residual approach post-emergence with the dicamba applications.
Worley says now is a great time to evaluate what weed control options were successful this year as farmers start to make considerations for the 2020 growing season.
So what we tell farmers is when they start combining their cornfields to pay close attention to what's happening. Okay, because if they have a good infestation of water hemp in their corn, and that field is going to be planted to soybeans the year after, that's the field where they're going to have the biggest challenges. So in those scenarios, this is where, dicamba becomes an important tool. So the farmers should plan for a solid herbicide program. They should have that investment up front, made up in their minds, because that field is going to be a difficult field. Pick a good, effective pre-emergence herbicide program. Do anything and everything else that can be done in terms of good agronomics, good planting time. Try to use narrow row spacing if possible, because you want to promote canopy closure as soon as possible to suppress water hemp that comes in later in the season. And then if you decide to use dicamba, use it early in the season.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Roundup Ready Extend crop system.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. That's why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
A message from Indiana Democrat Pete Buttigieg.
If you listen to President Trump, you'd think the only thing that matters for our economy is whether the stock market had a good day or a bad day. That's his priority. When the president gets on Twitter to brag about the high-stakes game he's playing with China, he's not seeing the same rural America that I see. The one where net farm income has been cut almost in half the past 5 years. Where small-town residents live hours away from a decent hospital. where household budgets are stretched so thin that desperation often turns to depression and addiction. This reckless trade war is tearing apart the very fabric of rural America. And while subsidies might soften the blows temporarily, they can't repair the permanent damage being done to family farms. I'm Pete Buttigieg, candidate for president, and I approve this message to ask for your help in stopping what Donald Trump is doing to America's heartland, for your community and mine.
Paid for by Pete for America.
Need a new roof? Have you considered that there's very few roofers to choose from, and come September, everyone at once will decide their roof must be completed before winter? The last thing you want is the winter roof that will never seal properly, or an improperly installed roof done by a contractor you may never see again. Don't wait any longer. Call Hahn Roofing today, and in most cases, they can start your project within 2 weeks and finish within 1 or 2 days. Call Hahn Roofing today for your free estimate. 515-573-7440. That's Hahn Roofing, 515-573-7440.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
This card asks, what events in our nation's history had an impact on you and how?
Pearl Harbor was on my 10th birthday, December 7th, 1941. That was the start of World War II. I was doing the farm chores with my brother, and the vet came to check our cows and told us all about it. It was a scary time.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. Kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is the second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing. He took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get his face out there. So anybody that has information, let us know. It'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car, because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 75, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet. Tonight, lows dip down to about 53. Mainly clear skies and quiet again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 68.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 3 cents at 362.5. December up 1.5 cents at 370.25. March up 1.25 at 382.5. May up 1.5 at 390.25. September soybeans up 4 3/4 at 860.5. November up 4 3/4 at 873. January up 4 3/4 at 886 3/4. March beans up a nickel at $9.25. September wheat closed up 2.5 at 462.5. Soybean meal up 70 cents a ton at $294.70. August live cattle up 87 cents at $102.67. October up 22 at $100.22. August feeder cattle up 107 at $137.37. September up 157 at $135.30. October lean hogs down 167 at $63.30. December down $1.50 at $62.67. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Does the apple cider vinegar diet work? I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. So the weight loss claims of the diet are that it helps people lose weight when they drink 1 or 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar before or with their meals. Harvard Medical School took a look at the claims and found only one small study in humans who consumed vinegar in that way who lost an average of 2 to 4 pounds after 3 months and had lower triglyceride blood levels. Another small study found people ate less because they were nauseated. You might have seen other health claims for consuming vinegar, but those aren't backed up by science either. Connie Dickman, a registered dietitian, says apple cider vinegar has a certain draw for people.
Apple cider vinegar has been around a very long time. Apple cider vinegar is something that many grandmas and great-grandmas and back relied upon for, how they cooked, how they seasoned, how they flavored. Oh, take a little of this, the cold will go away. And then the other part of it is a lot of apple cider vinegar is not filtered, so you see that floating. Well, it's the remnants of the apple, but you see that floating stuff in the bottom of it. And that kind of gives us all it's real, it's natural, it's special.
She says the acid in vinegar is bad for your teeth and don't expect it to be a cure-all or a weight loss aid. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-4757. That's 800-605-4757. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-605-4757, 800-605-4757.
Warning, if you're buried in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Answers at 800-970-5932. If you're struggling to pay off your debt, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to. Call Credit Answers now for free information on how to get out of debt faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We offer a guarantee with no upfront fees, so there's no risk. For free information, visit creditanswers.com or call 800-970-5932. That's 800-970-5932.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again. Making radio great again.
That's right. That's what we're doing, making radio great again. Assisting us in that effort today, or perhaps leading us in this effort today, is Dr. Lee Heeb. How are you, Lee?
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm excellent.
On a Thursday.
I'll be at the Iowa State Fair. We're going to take this little show down to the Iowa State Fair tomorrow on behalf of Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. So I asked Dr. Heeb if she could contribute to the program today, and she very kindly said yes. And we're appreciative for that, Lee. We really are, as always, and we appreciate you having you on, as always. Dr. Heeb is an orthopedic surgeon and a libertarian. But I think what we need are more psychiatrists to treat the Democratic Party, because they all seem to be nuts. Kamala.
I wish they were just nuts. I wish it was that simple and that it was that innocent. I mean, you got to have sympathy for people that are nuts. But the problem here is these guys are finally coming out and saying who they really are. I don't know. For years I've been saying people have to wake up to the fact that the Democrat Socialists of America, of which over 88 of our congressmen are members, is the Communist Party of America. And they make no bones about it. The Communist Party, if you look at how it was founded, the Communist Party said, well, communism has a bad name, let's call it something else. Democratic Socialists of America. So at their convention now, they're calling each other comrades, and they're actively calling for the overthrow of capitalism. Now, let's just put that, think about what's happened in the last 2 months. We're really in trouble in this nation. We're really on the edge, in my opinion. And, I've never heard, it's just unbelievable the censorship they're calling for. You listen to any of these people like on The View, and they're saying, oh, I don't like that person. You have to take him off the air. He's evil. He's bad, blah, 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 blah. They've censored over 200 to 300 million people. At 200 at last count, it's probably up to 300 now, have lost their feeds, their internet feeds from people that were conservative. If you look at, and Alex Jones is a test case, not only is he deplatformed, he's unpersoned. You cannot even mention his name. What the hell? How did we get there? Where no matter what somebody says, he's not advocating the overthrow of America or any direct assault on anybody. So how do you get to the point where you cannot mention someone's name on your Twitter or your deplatformed or your program?
Because language by the left has been determined to be oppressive. Language itself has been determined to be oppressive in the July 30, and I've made multiple references to this over the last couple of weeks. In the July 31st Des Moines Register, there was a letter to the editor from a young Latina woman who, here is the title of her article. It's not a letter, it's a piece the Register allowed on their opinion section. We have the right to define racism on our own terms. We have the right to define racism on our own terms. And she goes on to tell a story about her and some others going up to a conference in Milwaukee, the LULAC conference, the League of United Latin American Citizens conference, where they were being addressed by presidential candidates. Well, apparently a single white woman, was on the bus with them, and on the way back, now she was in sympathy with the group, by the way, and she told a story about how when she was younger, she used the N-word, and she was immediately told that she could not use that word no matter what. And the woman tried to explain, well, I would never use that word today, but I'm saying that it was used by children back when I was very young. And they condemned her, and she went away and cried. Now, which is kind of a liberal white woman response. You know, they will go away and cry and realize that they're wrong and come back apologetically somehow. But at the end of this particular piece, this young Latina woman says, we must seize control of the language. That's essentially what she's saying. We must seize control of the language. And that's something that, by the way, that Congressman Steve King has been opposing for years and years and years. He's in a little trouble these last few months, but he's not wrong. If we allow people to seize control of the language, they'll take control of everything. And they know it, by the way. They know it.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't insanity. This is a coordinated effort, and it's on multiple fronts. And language is the first thing to go. And you look at years ago, they changed what really meant to be liberal. You know, classic liberals are basically like libertarians. Let live and individual freedom. You know, just leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. We follow the Constitution. Classic liberalism is what brought us the Constitution. But the liberals today are basically more like, I mean, they're on the totalitarian end of the spectrum. Now, I don't have a problem. She can redefine racism all she wants to. What she doesn't have the right to do is tell me that my speech has to be censored because she doesn't agree with it.
That's exactly right.
That's where we change. I mean, you have the right to say what I don't, I mean, I might not like what she says either, but she has the right to be on Twitter. She has the right to be in the public sphere. It's like the only person to not be able to speak at Hyde Park where any crazy person could speak in England is Tommy Robinson. He's been barred from Hyde Park. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's what's coming here. And after you but I'm just saying, I think it's a coordinated attack. So the next step is the Democrats are all coming out and saying, of course, it's wonderful. This guy down in El Paso was just a perfect guy for the Democrats because they want to say, we have to take the guns now. We have to take the guns. And they put up this false narrative, and I'm not going to get into the data, which completely doesn't support their narrative. But the point is that they have come out of the dark shadows. Biden even said at one point we should go and actually house to house take guns, make them illegal, take any semi-automatic weapon, which includes handguns, by the way. He doesn't probably know that, but that does. Now, he's kind of backed off a little bit and said, well, no, I'd first do a buyback. But you know what they really want to do. They want to just shut it down because they cannot get their agenda across. They cannot crash capitalism without disarming the population. And, I mean, and then you have to demonize people. And they're now not just demonizing Trump, they're demonizing his supporters. And then you saw in New York, they have these posters out that literally say, death camps for Trump supporters now. And they're advocating violence against people.
Yes, they are.
What's that?
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, they have, it's one thing to put out a poster. They also had some posters that were making fun. It's funny if you're not in the mood to be laughed at, but they had, basically calling deplorables and Trump supporters like trash, and so they had keep New York City trash free, meaning don't bring us out. They've got this movie, The Hunt, coming out where these multi-billionaires round up deplorables and hunt them. That's
right.
The movie. Can you imagine that? I mean, but it's, again, those are just words, but it tells you an intent. And all I'm saying is that I'd like to think this was just this group, Trump derangement syndrome insanity. But unfortunately, this is exactly down the road of every totalitarian nation. And, these guys are worried about 30 people that were killed, over the weekend in these so-called mass murders. No, mass murder is when you disarm a population and murder millions. That's what socialism, communism does. And we have a world history of that. You first disarm people, and then you, in the case of Hitler, you use an economic crisis, or today we might be devising an economic crisis in order to get people to realize, we have to do something, and then you blame it on your political enemies, and you kill them because now they're disarmed. That's exactly the way Mao did it. That's exactly the way the Soviets did it with everybody. That's the way Germany did it. You can go right down. Pol Pot, you go right down the list. These, I don't like, it's like I don't want crazy people to have guns. But let me tell you.
No, we don't, do we?
No, but 10 people who are crazy that have guns is far less damaging than a government that's crazy that has guns. And the government will always have guns. So you do not want to have the government be the only people with guns. And this is a very bad road we're going down, and it's happened in 2 months. Think about what's happened in 2 months. It's scary.
Yeah, it is, but it's been a long time coming. I mean, the universities capitulated years ago with these speech codes and the safe zones and all of these things. And we just stood around and let it happen. Just stood around and let it happen. So here we are now with people threatening us. If you speak this way, we are going to get you fired. We're going to ruin your business. We're going to boycott you. All of these things, they're thugs. Let's just call it what it is. These folks are thugs, and they're unapologetic thugs.
Show up at McConnell's house, threatening him and his family, right? Mitch McConnell. I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell, and he's part of the feckless Republicans that got us here. But we cannot have representative government when we act like a banana republic and we go and assassinate people or threaten to assassinate people or threaten their families. You cannot have this. And I don't know what the response to that was, but I hope that the police, they should arrest every one of those people. We have to stop mollycoddling assault. I mean, this is what this is.
Well, I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for that to happen. I mean, we have these mobs of masked people beating people up and starting fires in Portland, Oregon. The mayor of Portland, my God, Ted Wheeler, is a disgrace. He believes it's free speech to put on a mask and hit someone with a club. Well, how crazy is that? I mean, these are intelligent, educated people running some of the biggest cities in the country.
So you have to ask yourself, and again, is it crazy, or are these people being paid? You know, we're also watching at the same time all this is happening. We got a proxy war going on with China and India. China's, and China has their people all over the place. We're just finding out that they're Chinese agents. I mean, we knew it, but it's finally coming out in the press that there are Chinese agents in our government, Chinese agents that have been we knew in industry for years. Thiessen says take Google and try them for treason. I mean, why is Google deplatforming conservatives? Google now lives in China. They're being paid by the Chinese. They're working with the Chinese for artificial intelligence of their military. I mean, how many dots do you have to put together there? They're being paid. So who else is the Chinese paid? How much do they pay that guy, the mayor? We don't know yet, and I think it's going to be a while till we know. But just like we saw, everybody wants to demonize Putin, but he's a nationalist now. He's not. We don't have a Comintern from the Soviet Union coming out trying to subvert America, but we know that happened. But we do have the Chinese. And so I don't think this is all by accident. I really don't. I think there's a lot of money changing hands that you and I don't know about that's bringing upon a lot of stuff, like the Chinese own Hollywood. If you want a propaganda organization, Hollywood's it, baby.
Well, they have a real problem with infectious disease in San Francisco because mobs of homeless people and street people have decided that San Francisco is a destination city for them, and the streets are covered with there's human feces in the streets, and it's spreading disease in the beautiful city of San Francisco, and San Francisco does not have the will to do anything about it.
They're just clueless on that one. I don't think that's a plot or any grand conspiracy of the Chinese. I think that's just Democrat governance.
Yeah, well, how does even a Democrat stand for that in their city? How a lot of these people are illegals, and they defecate and urinate wherever they are, in public parks and city streets and alleys everywhere. It's shocking, and
I know
they don't do anything.
I don't know. I mean, it's just we saw it in Seattle when my husband and I were in Seattle. Right between the Four Seasons Hotel, this 4-star hotel, and the ritziest Starbucks in Seattle, where the whole thing started, there are people sleeping on the street. Really?
And apparently there's nothing that can be done about that. We must all live together. So if you really want to go to a nice hotel and go to Starbucks or to a nice restaurant, you must step over homeless people who apparently can't figure out any other place to sleep because they're homeless.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you can do about it. Here's one of the problems is they abet them. In other words,
yes,
I don't
they do.
know about San Francisco, but I'm sure it's similar. In Seattle, what they do is they give them tents.
Yes.
They give them sleeping bags. They give them food, and they don't require anything in return.
That's exactly right.
And there was a very good book years ago called The Failure of American Compassion or something, The Tragedy of American Compassion. And it's about Philadelphia, the so-called city of brotherly love. And it shows how over time, over the history of the city, when they first did charity, you had to work for it.
Yes.
You had to chop wood if you were a man, and you had to sew if you were a woman, and you got a ticket that fed you. And then you felt good about it because you could also feed your family, and you could earn more and feed your friends. And it was limited because people that didn't want to work didn't get that. But then when they went to what's so-called open-air charity, which is what we have here, then people just moosed off of it, and the whole thing collapsed. Now, what's happening I'm sure in Seattle, if they quit giving them tents and they quit feeding them without enforcing, if you're going to get fed, we'll give you soup kitchens, but you have to be in here, you have to sleep here at night, and you have to do some work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want. One of the problems with the cops in Seattle, there was a big article when we were there in the paper. The people that are doing this don't want to go into those shelters because they can't engage in their drug habit and everything else they want to do.
That's exactly right. And why should they? They're having all their needs taken care of.
Right. So then they could do what they want. So we literally saw when we were getting on a ramp, I can't remember the highway, we were driving on the on-ramp, and in the little triangle of the on-ramp, maybe I told you this before, there was a circle of about 6 or 8 tents, and then there was this great big Barca lounger, beat-up old Barca lounger with this Samoan-looking guy in it, and these guys are all sitting around passing a dope pipe. It's like this their lifestyle. And, they'll probably choose up who goes with the handout from the government. I mean, that's what's supporting it. If you had to actually work to eat, you'd work. I mean, that may sound cruel, but that is how we got in here. Now, how you get out of it is you've got to slowly back that out. You've got to say, okay, we're not going to let you starve, but if you're able-bodied, you've got to come in here, and we don't care if it's just punching holes in paper. You've got to come in here and work during the day, and you've got to sleep here at night.
Well, where we are now is that compassion and mercy are the only virtues allowed. And there's a certain concept of those words that are the only concepts or the only definitions are allowed. Like this young woman on the bus going to Milwaukee. They demand to command the language and the definition of individual words and tell us what the real world is and what the truth is. What it is it's they've gone past Mao into Orwell now. They're going to create a false reality for us because they're in control of the language. That's it's startling. So if you are not compassionate in the way they define compassion, then you are what? You are a racist, or you have some sort of problem, or you're a supremacist, on and on and on. This is just propaganda. What this young woman, this young woman doesn't even understand. This young woman in the July 31st Des Moines Register doesn't understand that these are propaganda techniques. A lot of them put together by Joseph Goebbels, a propaganda minister of Germany. He was a brilliant man. He was evil and twisted, but he was brilliant. And he understood that repetition and command of the language were key.
The Soviets did exactly the same thing. The Soviets changed the language. That's where Orwell got his idea of newspeak.
Yes.
And, but what the history point is, these liberals, leftists don't understand is, and I'm thinking of the whole picture, how the homeless in Seattle and the people trying to take the guns and kill Trump supporters and everything else. When it all comes down, if they win, the very first people to be exterminated are the people that got them there and their preferred little class of people. So look at Chinese. Okay? They're using the Muslims in Kashmir against the Hindus. They've been doing it for a long time. They killed millions of Hindus using their proxy army of Muslims. But what did the Chinese do with the Muslims in their own country? They put them in concentration camps. They don't let them out on their streets. They know a weapon, and they don't let them weaponize against themselves. So what's going to happen is, there were no homeless people. In fact, there's a funny story. There were no homeless people in the Soviet Union. It was no crime and no homeless people because they killed them. You couldn't lay on the street. You'd be taken to the Gulag or to Lubyanka and shot. So that won't be a problem if the leftists really get their utopia. I had a very famous spine surgeon tell me one time I was out to do my fellowship, and I was applying, and he said to me one time, he said, Lee, if you want to do research, you need to be in a country that has homeless lying in the street, because when you don't see any homeless at all, that's a very controlled, overregulated country that will not allow you the freedom to do real research. Freedom, a certain amount of homelessness is a symbol of freedom. You have the freedom to be totally worthless if you want to be.
That's right.
As long as somebody feeds you and you can figure out how to stay alive, you have that right. But the point is that in the kind of utopian, anti-capitalist society these idiots in the DSA want to bring us, it will be, first of all, like Venezuela. It'll be a nightmare collapse, and then it will be a Stalinist gulag. That's the way these all go.
Well, here's a chilling sentence from this letter to the editor, or this opinion piece, rather, that I keep referring to from July 31st. This young woman says, and I want you to listen to this, how are people of color supposed to take hold of the conversation of race and suppression when we are being policed, bullied, and told not to define what racist is to ourselves? You're not supposed to take hold of the conversation. You're supposed to engage in the conversation. You're not being bullied and told not to define what is racist for yourselves. We're telling you that it is wrong to take control of the conversation. That is not debate between free people as we have understood it. That is power. That is a demand for power. And yes, you're going to make white liberal ladies cry if you keep telling them that.
Yeah. And you'll be beheaded if you keep it up. Robespierre is a perfect example of someone who took control of the conversation. He took control. He this whole idea. In fact, one of the great narratives to come down over the story is that Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." Actually, that's not what she said. She did not say that at all. And she was actually a big advocate for the poor and actually contributed her time and money to the poor. And but that doesn't matter. We don't hear that narrative. We just hear the narrative that they were killed and blah, blah, blah. But the people that ran the guillotine ultimately fell to the guillotine. So that's what's going to happen to these guys if they really win. But we can't let that happen. I mean, that's the end of America. And we're just under all pronged attack on our language, on our border, on our Second Amendment rights, everything. And it's really coming to a head.
I wonder if we're the kind of people who could win a war like this anymore. I've often thought as we go by some of the World War II memorials, and every time I see some tribute to veterans from that era, I think to myself, we're just not the type of people who can mount an effort like that and win a war like that anymore. I don't think we have the will to even defend ourselves from people who would destroy us. I really question
I don't know, because here's the difference. I got to say, there's a difference. So there's a very good book that I read, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was written by a Jewish reporter from New York City who went to Germany just after the World War II. And he spent 2 years there getting to know 10 men who were members of the Nazi Party, to understand why they were members of the Nazi Party. And I remember that one of the scary things was, one of the guys was a professor of High German, and he basically said, if the Nazis had come in one day and said, we're going to murder a bunch of people and we're going to declare war on blah, 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 do all this, we would have risen up with pitchforks and taken them out. The problem is it happened so gradually. It was like the corn was growing that was over our head before we knew what was going on. Now, that could happen, but I have to say, we have a different history. We don't come from a history of a king. We don't come from a czar. We don't come from a history of tyrants. We come from a history of free people. And there's a great number of very silent, free-loving people in this country that are armed, and I do not think that we will go down. You know, I heard a statistic that I don't think we're going to let the Joe Bidens come to our door and take weapons and then kill us. I just don't think we're going to do that.
I hope not.
The Minnesota hunters, just the hunters in the state of Minnesota, constitute the 5th largest standing army in the world.
Dr. Lee Heeb has been our guest. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. It's 4 o'clock.
At Fidelity, we believe nothing should come between you and your money. So we're introducing zero account fees with zero minimums to open an account. All because we want you to invest with zero trade-offs. Visit fidelity.com/value to learn more. Zero account minimums and zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Expenses charged by investments such as funds and managed accounts and for commissions, interest charges, or other expenses for transactions may still apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
Hi, this is Gary Rima, the voice of the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, and this is the home for Panther Sports, the voice of Fort Dodge.
That's running for president pledged to tackle student loan debt. President Trump is making his own move on the issue, but only for certain veterans.
President Trump says he is continuing his administration's mission to make life better for America's veterans. At the AMVETS National Convention in Louisville, he signed an executive memorandum that will get rid of all student loan debt for disabled veterans.
Altogether, this action will wipe out an average of $30,000 in debt owed by more than 25,000 eligible veterans who have made immense sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifice in many ways.
The president also said there would be no federal income taxes on the forgiven debts, asking that all state taxes be waived on those debts as well. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Meantime, at a labor conference in Iowa.
He wants us arguing over whether to buy Greenland when too many Americans aren't able to buy groceries.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg among the Democratic candidates slamming the president's economic and trade policies.
Trump got everyone thinking he's being tough on China. Bullshit. China's cleaning our clock right now. Donald Trump.
Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan is not among the 10 who've qualified for the next Democratic debate so far, but he says he's nowhere near ready to consider dropping out. Meantime, the president today calling himself the chosen one to take on China, insisting it has to be done. The new season of Dancing with the Stars gets political. Former White House spokesman Sean Spicer in the lineup over the apparent objection of host Tom Bergeron.
Bergeron tweeted that he earlier told producers he hoped the new season will be a joyful respite from our exhausting political.
Hello, it's Mike.
Hi, Mike. Jeremy Taylor.
Hey, Jeremy, give me a call back in about 4 minutes, will you?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. You know, kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is the second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing, he took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get his face out there. So anybody that has information, let us know. You know, it'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car, because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 75, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet. Tonight, lows dip down to about 53. Mainly clear skies and quiet again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 68.
Funeral directors are there to provide confidence, calming presence, and comforting words to help families grieve the loss of a loved one. The staff at Loffersweiler's Funeral Home raises the bar even higher. They can take care of the smallest details. They're the calm voice of reason and sometimes a very much needed shoulder to cry on. The staff at Loffersweiler's is here when you need them. They're ready to help you organize a beautiful, respectful service. Loffersweiler Funeral Home, Fort Dodge, serving families like yours since 1856.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Well, that's correct on the Doctor of Truth at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. You can always join this program by calling 515-955-1400. And, of course, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. We welcome to the program now Mr. Jeremy Taylor. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Mike?
I'm outstanding. We're waiting on a little rain here in Fort Dodge, but we need a little rain anyway. So, Jeremy Taylor, by the way, is a candidate for the Republican nomination for 4th District Congressperson. He is one of 3, including Randy Feenstra and one other. I understand that you're a supervisor in Woodbury County. Is that right, sir?
It is. I'm in my second term as a county supervisor in the largest county of the 4th District.
Okay. Steve King, our friend, is in trouble again here. He's been in trouble quite often lately. As a matter of fact, he has no committee assignments in Congress. He's making it difficult for the 4th District. What would you say to Steve King?
Well, at this point, I'm talking about my priorities and...
I understand, but I know that you supported Steve King in the past.
That's true. Absolutely. So I've supported him in the general and in the primaries in the past. And at this point, I think some of the rhetoric simply hasn't been helpful. And so I'm appealing to the voters of the 4th District that it's time to change. And I think people are increasingly coming on board for somebody who will be a constitutional conservative, but one whose approach to the issue sheds more light rather than heat. And so I think that's important, both in relationships and on committee assignments and on advancing a conservative agenda.
Your feelings towards, or your attitude certainly, towards Congressman King seems to have changed.
It hasn't changed so much as it's, just from the beginning been a concern that we're going to lose this seat. That's where I approached this race, having a 4,000 vote differential. When I won Woodbury County, he lost it. And the same thing with losing Webster County. So I've always appreciated his staunch and stalwart stances, but at the same time, if we don't have that voice and effective policy making, and if we lose this seat, that to me is a bridge too far. And so that's why I'm advocating that we need to put someone forward, and I believe I'm the person for this time to be able to make that case in Congress.
Well, a Democratic nominee is a guy I call Beto O'Shelton. So let's talk about Beto for a second. He is a former minor league baseball player, and he tells me he's a freelance paralegal, whatever that is. I haven't seen much of a resume from him, but he's very good at promising the moon. What would be your response?
Well, promising the moon right now in Washington, D.C. means that we're promising our children and our children's children's future as far as the amount of money that these folks in Congress, especially in the House of Representatives, are promising. Today, the federal government report says that the deficit's going to grow by $800 billion more than we previously expected, and that's already on a $22 trillion national debt. So I get worried when people promise the moon because it's not theirs to promise. It's our children's. And so I'm one who's going to stand up both to Democrats like J.D. Scholten and, frankly, to my own party, who has also been a part of the problem. And I've heard from many conservative activists that if we do take back the House of Representatives, that it needs to be someone who's going to be a consistent conservative and stand on our principles.
Well, Beto makes a great point when he talks about health care. Health care is a big deal in the 4th District. There's a lot of older people in the 4th District, including myself, as a matter of fact. Your website, we can find Jeremy Taylor's website by going to jeremytaylorforcongress.org. You talk about a free market health care solution. What would that look like, and how would that be beneficial?
I think if we look toward, right now there's a tax benefit for employers who have their health care plans that they're using for their employees. I think that we need to make sure that there's levity between those employer plans and those who would be in the private market and health savings accounts. I think we need to look at responsible tort reform and being able to shop across state lines in terms of the insurance marketplace. Right now, I just talked yesterday to a gentleman over on Main Street in Sioux City, or Hamilton Boulevard, and his health care costs for his employees went from $54,000 to $217,000 over about 3.5 years' time. And so when you have folks that are being added to the system, we have the expansion of Medicaid that was funded from the federal level. There is going to be a fiscal cost, and it's going to be borne out by our federal government as well as by others. And so we've seen that increased cost being passed on through folks and their insurance premiums. So my goal is to look at common sense marketplace principles, the reimportation of prescription drugs to lower drug costs, and more oversight in Congress over the price of anything from insulin to our pharmaceutical market, and to have solutions that will actually help to lower the cost instead of just bringing on more and more into the marketplace that aren't necessarily paying.
Well, you talk about shopping out of state, that would harm the insurance business in Iowa, especially in Polk County.
Well, I'm always looking for anything that's going to make us more competitive for the consumer to be able to lower costs. And so if it comes to what's going to be beneficial at the consumer level versus the insurance marketplace, I'm always going to look to what's going to be beneficial for Iowa's 4th District and the families here.
I don't mean to beat you up on this one issue, but it is the Democrats' key issue in the 4th District. A lot of people, again, especially older people, are looking for a little bit something more concrete and right now. I think you've probably heard that out there somewhere, that there's a lot of anxiety in some of our smaller communities in the 4th District about what health care is going to look like. And there's a lot of anxiety about being able to pay for health care, period, or access the medicine that older people need.
Absolutely, and I think that we have a role. I talked about congressional oversight, and as far as making sure that pharmaceuticals and drug prices are affordable. But I think that right now, the converse of this, Democrats don't own this issue to me, Mike. What the Democrats are promising right now, and every one of the 25 or 26 odd presidential candidates said that they would promise Medicare for all, and that's not just our own citizens. So that sort of freewheeling promise isn't going to make health care in our country any more affordable for those who are already paying high premiums and for whose premiums have already increased over the last 6-7 years after the advent of Obamacare. So I think it's one in which Democrats can promise a lot, but they've actually substantively delivered very little. And so my hope is that we are able to come in and control the House of Representatives and then offer solutions that are going to lower prescription drug prices and that are going to actually have an effect on premiums that will lessen their costs rather than increase them.
Jeremy Taylor is our guest. He's running for the Republican nomination in the Congressional 4th District. He's out of Sioux City. He's a Woodbury County supervisor. The plan by the Democrats, if you can call it that, to offer free health care for everybody, including illegal, is ridiculous. Congressman Steve King, by the way, has been adamant about enforcing the law as far as illegal immigration. The last time I talked with Congressman King, he blamed a big ag interest in the 4th District for finding Republicans to challenge him for the nomination. It's an open secret that big ag corporations in the state of Iowa and across the country are the main beneficiaries of illegal immigration. A lot of people in the Congressional 4th, I'm one of them, find the idea that we should import a large group of workers to our country illegally offensive. Where are you on this issue?
I absolutely agree with you, Mike. As someone whose wife has legally immigrated here and spent a lot of time and money navigating that process, we've always been a country of law and order and the rule of law that states that we're going to reward people who do things the right way. And I'm speaking as somebody whose great-grandparents came from Italy through Ellis Island, and as someone whose wife, as I mentioned, came here legally. I uphold legal immigration, and there are hundreds of thousands of people who are waiting to go through the legal immigration system to demonstrate that they're going to be a fountain and not a drain, that they're going to not be someone who's contributing to drug trafficking and the specter of bringing in fentanyl and human trafficking, all of these bad things that are harming our country. And so I absolutely uphold the rule of law. And if you look at my candidacy, the vast majority of the money that has come into our campaign is actually from folks who have supported Steve King in the past and know that I'm going to be a constitutional conservative, but an effective one. I think you can look at maybe the more establishment candidate in this race, Randy Feenstra, and look and see where those interests lie and where that money's coming from outside of the 4th District. But that is not where our support is coming from. It's from people who know that I'll be that consistent conservative. And I agree with you. We need to uphold the rule of law. Otherwise, a nation without borders is, as Ronald Reagan said, no nation at all.
It is no nation at all, and that's for sure. AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. We're talking with Jeremy Taylor. Steve King got in trouble again for talking about his opposition to abortion. What is your attitude toward abortion?
My attitude is that life begins at conception. I'm a person of faith. I'm a chaplain in the Iowa National Guard, and I believe in my heart that is where life begins. And so I'm going to uphold life, whether that's in our Title X funding, as you saw the Trump administration, thankfully, shored up that planning for family services would only go to non-abortion providers. I think that's important. And I think it's important to approach this issue in a way that sheds light rather than heat. So I've been somebody who's been on the speaking circuit at the Her Health Women's Center, who comes alongside folks that are in the difficult decision and an unplanned pregnancy. And I think that that's very important. I'm also somebody in the Iowa House who voted against an HHS budget because there were taxpayer funds that were going to abortion at the time. I was one of only 6 Republicans to do so. So I plan to stand strong on the issue of life.
Sir, you mentioned earlier we have a huge deficit, but you have a plan that calls for cutting taxes and spending. How do we cut the deficit by cutting taxes?
Well, I think right now, President Trump's tax cuts have sparked economic growth. We're at over 3% GDP growth. I think the difficulty, though, is in the spending and the largesse of the federal government. So right now, we've got to look at, I call it the penny plan, something that Connie Mack and Rand Paul put out, which is a reduction of 1% of non-discretionary federal spending. And I think that's very important. We need to have a balanced budget amendment, and we need to look at every area. Sometimes Republicans talk only about entitlement reform, and that's certainly important, and we need to do so. But we also need to look at defense spending as well. And there's $7.6 billion in our defense budget that is predicated on use it or lose it, meaning that you either use it this year or you're going to lose it the next. And it's a way that people artificially spend so that that money is there the next year. We need to look at every aspect of the federal budget, including over 20 entitlement programs, some of which I believe are duplicative. And we need to start making the hard choices so that our children and our children's children aren't left with it.
Well, some of the hard choices, according to some, is to cut Medicare and Social Security, which, by the way, are very popular in the 4th District. What would you do with Medicare and Social Security?
I think we need to look at increasing the age for Medicare by 2 months each year for the next 10 years. And so I think that that's something that is a common sense solution. I think that we also need to look in terms of Social Security and its solvency in terms of, what is it going to take in order to make sure that those dollars are there for the future. And so if that means a slight increase as well in the age, if it means some limited means testing, those are something we have to be potentially open to. I know those are hard decisions, and they're not non-controversial. The problem is if we don't look at some of those with increased scrutiny, the money simply won't be there. By 2023, we're not even going to be able to afford the interest on our national debt if we don't get control of this. So those are approaches that I would certainly look at as a congressman.
You're talking about delaying Medicare payments or Medicare and Social Security payments to almost the age of 70 then.
Yeah, potentially it would be an incremental stair step over a number of years to do so, but potentially up to the age of 69 in terms of Medicare could potentially be the case. Again, those are proposals that are out there that I believe are something that we need to look at and to make sure that we're going to have solvency as a country.
There are those who say, sir, and we're talking with Jeremy Taylor. He is the candidate for the Republican nomination for the congressional 4th district seat, congressional seat, of course. There are those who look to the military budget and say, if you're looking to cut spending at the military level, that Medicare and Social Security are entitlements, not spending that should be cut, but the military is where we should make these cuts and preserve Medicare and Social Security where it is now. What would you do in that regard?
I think that there's an either-or fallacy out there, meaning that you either have to look at entitlements or you have to look at defense spending. And I think that's a little too simple of an approach in the sense that there are aspects of the military budget that potentially can be cut. And so I mentioned about $7.6 billion predicated on kind of the use it or lose it approach. So I think that there are ways that we can be leaner and more efficient as a military force, and I say that as an officer in the Guard. However, I don't think that means that you only look there. I think that you have to look at even the entitlement programs. Let's pivot a little away from Social Security and Medicare and look at the SNAP program or the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, better known as food stamps. We have 2.7 million folks in this country who could potentially be part of our workforce. And you mentioned, Mike, earlier, those who would rather import labor we have folks in our own communities that could be a part of that solution that are able-bodied. And so if I was sitting on the Farm Bill Conference Committee, which we don't have a congressman who can do right now because he's not on any committee.
No,
but if I were there, I would make sure that there were work requirements. That has a twofold effect. Not only does that help in the labor market, for which Iowa and Woodbury County certainly has a shortfall, but it also helps in terms of not paying those folks who otherwise would be able to work. So my larger point is I think that there are many aspects of the federal budget. None of them should be sacrosanct or be a sacred cow that can't be touched.
You have focused on people who are on welfare and older people on Medicare and Social Security. Are there other areas where you would look to cut spending or perhaps to increase taxes to overcome the deficit?
I would. President Trump, even this last week, has looked at rules regarding immigration and those who are here as permanent residents and those who are going through that process. One of the things that my wife and I declared through her process is that we were not going to go on the dole, so to speak, that we were going to be able to provide. And so I think that those rules are important as we look to the needs of Americans. So that would be yet another area in which I would look to make sure that we aren't spending. There are other programs that are noble and that they're well-intentioned at the federal level. I think of the Energy Star program under the U.S. Department of Education, or Energy, rather. And that program is a good one, but when we are facing $364 billion a year in interest on our debt, you have to ask yourself, is this absolutely critical? And is this necessary at the federal government level? And so I'm a big believer in the 10th Amendment and that states ought to have their rights and do what they do well. And the federal government should not be involved in as many programs in as many areas of life, and that spending goes along with it.
All right, our guest is Jeremy Taylor. He's running for the Republican nomination for the 4th District congressional seat. President Trump has caused us all a large headache here in the state of Iowa, especially in the congressional 4th, by not reining in RINs grants. You know what those are.
Mm-hmm.
And he has engaged in a long and costly trade war with China. Some of my farm friends are saying the infrastructure of trade built up before President Trump was elected may never be repaired. What would you do as a first-term congressman to repair our trade relations?
Well, the first one, if I can mention, because you mentioned it, Mike, was RIN waivers that are granted to these oil refineries that were meant for small oil refineries that had hardships, not Exxon and Chevron and so on. I'd be bullish and I would stand up and say that it's time that we had a representative in the 4th District that got on the megaphone and got on the loudspeaker and said that the petroleum industry needs to uphold the rule of law. The RFS was passed, and that is what Congress ought to do and ought to be the rule of law. Instead, we have the EPA and we have rulemaking authorities that are subverting the rule of law. So that would be number one. I'd also want to, as a member of Congress, number two, have a relationship with the president in which I had access to that office to let him know that Iowa was key and I was important, not only politically, but as one of the great states of the Midwest, and help him to understand the effect that that's having. I'm here in Plymouth County today, and we just had we had an ethanol plant that shut down here, and I believe that the $2.6 billion of ethanol that were taken out of the system through these RIN waivers was responsible. Regarding trade, I think that we need to acknowledge that China's been a poor player. Forced transfers and intellectual property thievery has harmed our economy as a whole, as a nation, to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. With that said, I would want to know the president's objectives long term, because it is ultimately going to hurt our export markets. And so as a member of Congress, I want to see USMCA passed. And I also want to make sure that we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket. And by that, I mean that we're opening up other export markets. We've done so with Taiwan and Japan increasingly. But I would want to know as a member of Congress, sort of behind the scenes, what are the president's ultimate objectives with China that are going to be acceptable, because I think that that's an important export market for us as well.
We've been talking with Mr. Jeremy Taylor. He is a candidate for the Republican nomination for the 4th District Congressional seat, and you can find out more by going to www.jeremytaylorforcongress.com. Sir, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we'll talk again. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Ford Dodge. It's 4:32.
Now, we've all heard this way too often.
Buy a car, but you must act now, because these deals won't last long.
If you're like me, when it comes to making a big purchase like buying a car, you don't want someone yelling a lot and pressuring you into getting something you can't afford. So I did my research.
For your next used vehicle, do your research and then head to Humboldt Motor Sales. The atmosphere is relaxing and they'll help you find the pre-owned vehicle of your dreams. So when people ask where you got your ride, the answer is simple. Humboldt Motor Sales, or online at HumboldtGM.com.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News update, I'm Rob Jones. Fort Dodge Police Chief Roger Porter was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine when asked about the police department's recent pursuit of alleged car thief Bradley Bauman Jr. The chief had this to say.
Run-in with him over the weekend where he was identified in a stolen vehicle out east of town, and luckily he went out of town when we tried to stop him and did not go back into town where it caused more danger. Kind of a little more open out there. Ended up going over towards Highway 17, and we never ran the car into a bean field and was able to get out on foot and get into the tall corn, and we just couldn't locate him. We spent a number of hours out there with the State Patrol and all the agencies over in that area trying to find him. But and this is the second time within the past couple of weeks that we've had a run-in with him. I know the county had spotted him in a stolen vehicle outside of town, and the same thing. He took off. He's one of those guys that's just going to take off, and he doesn't care who he puts in danger or anybody else. And unfortunately, we're trying to get the public's help, and that's why we put the press release out, try to get his face out there. So anybody that has information, let us know. It'd be nice to try to get him before he gets in the car, because we know he's going to run. None of us like to have to chase cars or anything like that, and we have strict requirements on that, but when it's somebody this dangerous out there that needs to get off the street.
The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
Dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. The Fort Dodge Community School District wants to invite the community to the Fall Sports Pep Rally tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Admission is a bottle of sports drink to be donated. Members of the Fort Dodge football, volleyball, cross country, boys and girls golf, swimming, and dance teams, as well as cheerleaders and marching band members, will be introduced beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night. Food vendors will be on hand from 6:30 to 7:30. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 75, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet. Tonight, lows dip down to about 53. Mainly clear skies and quiet again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 68.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 3 cents at 362.5. December up 1.5 cents at 370.25. March up 1.25 at 382.5. May up 1.5 at 390.25. September soybeans up 4 3/4 at 860.5. November up 4 3/4 at 873. January up 4 3/4 at 886 3/4. March beans up a nickel at $9.25. September wheat closed up 2.5 at 462.5. Soybean meal up 70 cents a ton at $294.70. August live cattle up 87 cents at 102.67. October up 22 at $100.22. August feeder cattle up 107 at 137.37. September up 157 at 135.30. October lean hogs down 167 at 63.30. December down $1.50 at 62.67. I'm Dwayne Merley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge, 437, and we'll talk with County Supervisor Bob Thode here in just a couple of minutes. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Sorry to report the death of an old co-worker, John Hebert of Rockwell City. John A. Hebert passed away Monday at the age of 79 in his home in Rockwell City. There will be a funeral service held at 10:30 in the morning Friday at the Church of Christ in Rockwell City for John A. Hebert. Mary Wolf has passed away. Mary Wolf of Eagle Grove has passed away, and her service will be at 10:30 in the morning Wednesday at the Eagle Grove United Methodist Church. Sean Emanuel was killed in an accident earlier this week at the age of 51. There will be a celebration of his life Saturday at 2 o'clock here in town. And Todd Sassman, Todd L. Sassman, 60 years old, has passed away. There will be a private family service at a later date for Todd Sassman. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
From the Fox Business Network, on Wall Street, stocks climbing as strong earnings reports from retailers ease some of the fears among investors about slowing economic growth. With the Dow rising 240 points, the Nasdaq up 72, S&P 500 up 24. And shares of Target soaring 20%, setting a new high after it raised its earnings guidance for the year and reported that sales and profits rose in the second quarter. Lowe's also reporting higher profits that beat analyst estimates, pushing its shares up 10% today. And in the extended trading session, shares of Nordstrom are higher after the retailer delivered a mixed earnings report with revenue less than expected, but handily beating Wall Street profit estimates. And a bold move from Dunkin'. Forget about all things pumpkin as part of its fall menu. Dunkin' is introducing 2 burrito bowls to its lineup. The fire-roasted veggie bowl, a better-for-you option, and a heartier option, the chorizo bowl. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive Little Blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month's supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/joy. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication, and a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Come closer. I want your rack. Your great big rack.
Stop dreaming about big racks and put one on your wall. Head for the Iowa Outdoor Store for a full line of accessories for your bow. Bring it in with you and they'll make sure it's ready for the season. Need a new bow? Then check out the new Hoyt Carbon RX3, the aluminum helix, and the Matthews Vertex bow. They even have entry-level bows starting at just $299. Make your big rack dreams come true with help from the Iowa Outdoor Store at the junction of Highway 7 and 169, Fort Dodge.
Warning. If you're buried in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Answers at 800-970-5932. If you're struggling to pay off your debt, Do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to. Call Credit Answers now for free information on how to get out of debt faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We offer a guarantee with no upfront fees, so there's no risk. For free information, visit creditanswers.com or call 800-970-5932. That's 800-970-5932.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Save big money in all of your projects now at Menards. Stop mold dead in its tracks with Concrobium products. Right now, you can pick up Concrobium Mold Control in a 14.1-ounce can of aerosol spray or a 32-ounce bottle. Your choice, only $7.98 each. Save big money on these and other Concrobium Mold Control products at Menards. Now through Saturday, August 24th.
Save big money at Menards.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. That's probably a fact. If you don't listen to this radio station when I'm on the air, you probably suck. So, not sucking today is Bob Thode, but Bob, you've been sucking in the past. You haven't been here for quite a while. What's the deal here, buddy?
Yeah, you know.
You were sucking, weren't you? Huh?
I had a choice on Friends. So.
You had a choice on... So you chose the supervisors, huh? Boy, have you got lousy taste.
I chose the supervisors over you. So.
Oh, God. That's a blow, I'll tell you. That's a total blow. So, yeah, Bob Thode, by the way, is a Webster County supervisor, and you have a question or comment for Supervisor Thode. It's 515-955-1400. I have a question for Supervisor Thode. So we're going to do something with the clock tower. I was originally opposed to that, but nobody listens to me, so... we're going to put a whole new thing up there. Apparently, $4.2 million worth of repairs to the clock tower. Is that what we're talking about?
It's not just the clock tower. It's also the roof, the skylight. We need to replace the roof up there. There's a lot of damage inside from. I guess you could call it wear and tear. That's on the inside of the clock tower.
Some birds get in there and crap, or what?
Oh. Somehow there's been a lot of water damage that got in there.
I suppose over the years, yeah.
So there's no barrier, which is part of the plan, is to put a barrier in there also so that doesn't occur again once. If we're going to spend the money, we want to get it done right, put it in layman's terms.
Sure.
So there was 4 options that we put out there. We had
4 options.
Yeah, there was 4 options. One option was don't do anything.
Well, you know, the last market on Central, I went out. You know, Keith was standing right in front of the Growth Alliance stand with some pictures, and I went down the courthouse and looked at all those videos. I saw you down there.
Right. And
which was, by the way, it was great to help decide. That's a great way to do it.
Right. We tried to get the word out to people. The first opportunity, we opened up for about, I think it was 2 hours one evening, and only 2 people showed up.
That's terrible, isn't it?
So 2 people showed up for that one. And then after that, Market on Central, Keith went downtown and reminded everybody and showed a couple pictures and got everybody heading down that way.
Yeah.
And then they had the opportunity to talk not only with the engineer but also the architect that we had hired to show what the 4 options that we were looking at were going to be. I think 2 people didn't want to do anything. Majority of the people wanted option number 3, and Actually, I was really surprised there was quite a number of people who wanted to take option number 4, which was well, let me tell you what the options are. Number 1 was to do nothing.
Right.
Number 2 was to take the tower down.
But how could you not do anything?
Well, that was an option for the folks to make, but that to me wasn't an option.
Yeah, I mean the thing's
the
going
same
to
as it
fall off
was
if you do nothing.
The same as it was with removing the clock tower. That was going to cost us $2.8 million to remove it. That to me was also not an option. If we're going to spend that kind of money, let's just spend it and fix it right. Plus, I think we'd have some very serious problems with the Historical Society and everybody else if we attempted to remove that clock tower. The third option then was try to put it back to its original, and then the fourth option was to completely redo the whole inside and then replace all the copper that was on the outside. So a lot of the citizens had some concerns about the green patina that was that tower is showing now, and one of the pictures that they were showing was a picture of the clock tower back in 1910. And it kind of looked like there's a fence that was part of the cap up on top of there. And it was also showing it was turning into that green color.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them had some concerns that color wouldn't be there anymore. And if we would have replaced everything, more than likely in our lifetime, we would never seen it turn green again. So we're kind of under the impression that leaving partial green up there, that patina, that it will kind of move across or work its way under the new copper that we were putting up there, because there was some pieces of copper that were actually they picked off the ground that had been blown off on the top where the wind had been so severe that it actually ripped some of the copper off of the clock, where then of course when the copper opened up, then that also opened up for the water to get in and then cause damage. And so that's why we were in the position we were. A lot of people really wanted to make sure that we got that green patina back, and I don't think we were going to get that done back when they put that clock tower up. They had a lot of coal burning and stuff like that. There was a lot of particulates in the air that would have helped.
That.
And so hopefully this will make those changes that will make it turn it back to the color that it is now. It's just going to take a lot of time.
Menke was in here a little earlier, Councilman Menke, and he talked a little bit about the 1991 bumps that were put around corners, in city streets down Central Avenue. And we're talking about doing something, or the city's talking about doing something with Central Avenue, maybe doing some repairs. It's probably overdue, but I remember when we did that in '91, all the open coal chutes. Remember, I'm just old enough.
Yeah.
I'm just old enough to remember coal chutes when coal trucks used to come into neighborhoods.
Well, you're about 10 or 12 years older than I am,
That's
so you should be able to remember that.
Well, and I remember going over to our neighbor's house. We were uptown. We had oil, fuel oil, but the neighbors had heated their house with coal. And I thought that was great to go over and watch the coal being dumped into the coal chute.
Unless you were the one doing the shoveling.
Unless you were the one doing the shoveling. Those guys were always black. I mean, they were black.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then you breathed all that stuff in. That definitely wasn't good for you either.
No, they didn't know. We didn't know back then. We didn't know. I mean, there's a lot of things. But heck, they did it while they were smoking. They'd have a cigarette outside the corner of their mouth, That's just the way things were. We've learned a few things since, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what's the next step then? Are we going to go ahead and do this, or do we have to have some public hearings on it? Or
I think there'll be some hearings. I think the purpose behind yesterday was to make a decision what direction the board was going to go with this.
Right.
And we've also got some other issues that are coming up that we're going to probably have to put some bonds out for. One of them being that interoperability, which is the
what?
Interoperability.
And that means?
They're changing the radio frequencies for public safety.
Oh.
So they're going all digital, and like everything else that we do.
Interoperability. Now, there's a word for you.
Well, yeah. Do you want me to write it down for you?
Yeah,
so
if
you can remember it?
If you don't mind, yeah.
So Dylan Hagan, who's our emergency management person, along with the Sheriff Stubbs and that, we've all been working really hard to get the best bang for the buck out of there. And unfortunately, no matter how hard we look at it, we're still looking somewhere in the vicinity of about $2.2 million on that one alone. So
really,
yeah.
Why is this important that we do this interoperability, switch over to the digital thing?
Well, because so far the Highway Patrol has switched over. Other counties have already made the switch over. They're not going to stay into the to the other frequencies that they had. These frequencies here are a lot clearer. You can go just about anywhere with this new digital system. Well, when we get the other towers and stuff set up, you'll be able to go anywhere and be able to talk clearly and make sure you can communicate with everybody. And that's not just a police, it's also fire, it's also emergency management, it's also your ambulance service, anything to do with public safety. We'll be able to have contact and go that route, but it'll also have to go into the comm center, which means comm center is going to have to do some changeovers too. So
it's just a better system that everybody's going to?
Much better.
Is it more cost efficient or?
Well, I guess we'll learn that in time.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
The communications part of it will work out a lot better. You'll be able to communicate just about with everybody, which is kind of the goal behind this. So
you can't do that now with the old radio frequencies?
With some of them you could, but right now what they have, those LEA and AID channels, they're not going to be replacing those repeaters. So you won't be able to contact some of the other law enforcement agencies that are on a different frequency than you are. I'm sorry,
really?
I got to rephrase that. It's called a talk group now. It's not called a channel. It's called a talk group.
Talk group?
Talk group.
Boy, it's going to take me a long time to switch over from channels to talk group.
Yeah, I know. I was having a rough time with it, too, for a while. It's like, what? What are you talking about here?
I had a CB radio starting in the 70s, you know?
Yeah, probably an old Cobra 19 channel. That
now we're talking.
Over.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Well, the world changes.
Oh, for sure.
The world changes, and we got to change with it.
And you know what I mean. This is also involving all of our volunteer fire departments. Every one of those radios, the county, when they bond for this, is going to issue 3 of these radios for every fire department, every ambulance service, everything. Everybody will have the opportunity, and things that most people don't even think about. Webster County Conservation, they've got their law enforcement people. We got to make sure.
That's right, they do, don't they?
Yes, they do. So we got to make sure that they can communicate also. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. You sit there and everybody thinks that they've got everything down tight, and then lo and behold, you sit back and says, "Hey, what about these people? Oh, I forgot about that one." So we're taking our time a little bit, maybe a little too long, but we definitely need to get the switch going on that here very soon. So I think we'll know more here in about about the second week of September. We'll know where we're at with that.
Well, I regret I haven't been able to get over the supervisors' meetings. I
think
had another appointment. It started getting another regular appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. Maybe I can change something around.
No, I think we enjoy the fact that you haven't been able to show up.
Back off. Just back. Last time I was over there, I stirred it up a little bit, didn't I?
Well, you tried.
No, I didn't. That's the thing is, I didn't even try.
I was going to bring you a little napkin or something to wipe your eyes with. You were whining up there, so.
I was whining?
Yeah, might as well.
When was I whining?
All the time. Even on your radio, you whine on here all the time.
I don't. I loudly demand change in action, like the superhero I am.
There you go.
You're characterizing it wrong, Bob.
No, I think I got it down pretty good.
I don't think
we just got to figure out which superhero you really are.
What is my superpower, ladies and gentlemen? 955-1400. You know what it is. The power to sway. There it is. I'm sway man.
There you go.
So where's the rest of the supervisors? They're down at ISAC. How come you didn't go to ISAC?
Well, somebody needs to stick around here.
Why?
Because somebody needed to go on your show today.
Well, there you go. ISAC is what again? The Iowa
Association of Counties.
Iowa State Association of Counties.
Right, and they put on a conference twice a year and give you up to date. They meet with your legislators and stuff.
They didn't want you to go, did they?
I don't know.
They wanted to go down
They
and
never
party.
asked me. I think they want to go party on their own. So
I was going to say they wanted to go party without you.
And I believe Nick had a conference that he needed to go to for the fire department, so he was busy with that right now. So
Nick stayed in town too.
no, Nick's in Nashville.
Nick's in Nashville.
Yeah, we can't afford to send anybody in Nashville unless you're a firefighter.
I was going to say, fire department's got a little
Fire
money.
department's got all the money.
As long as Bemrick's the mayor, the fire department's going to be all right.
Oh, isn't that something? I know. I've been noticing that here lately.
Long as we got Matt there, the
There you
fire
go.
department's going to be okay.
There you go.
You'd think he had relatives over there or something, but he doesn't.
Well, he does he?
I don't think he does. Maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he snuck a couple of cousins in there. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll have to figure that one out.
He believes in that fire department, though. There's no doubt.
They're a bunch of good people.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had to save my butt once, so.
They did? Really? What were you doing?
Oh, we got told that there was a small kitchen fire in the Wakanza once.
Okay.
So.
Did you go charging in there when you were a cop, or what?
Well, when there was 3 of us, 2 firefighters and me, and what he failed to tell us is that it had been burning for about 30 minutes first.
Oh, well, that's a key omission.
Yeah, that was a biggie.
County Supervisor Bob Thode has been our guest. Thanks, Bob. All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right, we're making radio great again. I think we're getting it done, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow we will have Mayor Matt Bemrick here, I think. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Want new flooring but don't have the time or patience to run all over the place looking for the right type, style, and color? Hi, this is Dean Sternberg with Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home. Let Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home bring the store to you with their free shop at home service. See the samples in the rooms where you want new flooring. Get measurements professionally done at the same time. It's fast, easy, and made to order for your busy life. Plus, it's from the local pros who will be here after the sale. Call Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home across from Decker Truck Line.
The General Store promised you something new, and here it is. The Outlet Center. This Saturday, everything in the Outlet Center is just 50 cents. Clothes, 50 cents. Jewelry, 50 cents. Home decor, 50 cents. Shoes, 50 cents. Toys, 50 cents. Make sure you're at the General Store this Saturday from 9 till 5 and get anything you want for just 50 cents in their Outlet Center. And remember, everything at the General Store is tax-free, and all proceeds go toward helping people in our community. The General Store, 12 North, 25th, Fort Dodge.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app that you can try for free right now at Babbel.com. Babbel's lessons are just 15 minutes or less, and you can go at your own pace. You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Just download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com now. That's Babbel.com.
I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. We're a full-service funeral home with an off-site crematory. At Bruce's, we specialize in pre-arrangements and family support before, during, and after the service. We also offer beautiful memorial